All right, we're going to start in just a minute. All right, good evening, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and call to order our special meeting of Vallejo City Council at 7:20 p.m. Thank you all for your patience, and I'll ask the city clerk to conduct the roll call, please.
Mayor Soers.
Present.
Vice Mayor Matulik.
Present.
Council members Bergenzer.
Present.
Gordon.
Present.
Lediju. Okay. Matias is here. And Paul Maris.
Present.
All right, thank you. That is going to bring us to item 3, Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone would please stand and join us for the pledge. All right, that is going to bring us to item 4, report out of closed session. The City Council did meet in closed session immediately before this, as well as last night. We have a report out from both, and I'll turn it to the City Attorney.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As the Mayor has just announced, the City Council did meet in closed session last night. However, we did not give a report out due to the press of other business and not having the time to report out, so we are reporting out this evening on that item. The item from last night, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation pursuant to California Government Code Section 549.56.9 D1. The case is Melissa Leitsky versus the City of Vallejo, Solano County Superior Court case as listed on the agenda. The council did provide direction to legal counsel with regard to this matter. There's no further action to report at this time. With regard to this evening's agenda, the council met in closed session with regard to the following items. A, conference with labor negotiators pursuant to California Government Code Section 549.57.6. The agency designated representatives, the city, Stephanie Cifuentes, the Human Resources Director, the employee organizations, the Vallejo Police Officers Association, the International Association of Firefighters, Local 1186, Confidential Administrative Managerial Professional Association, and unrepresented employees. With regard to this item, the council gave direction to its negotiators. And item B, conference with real property negotiators pursuant to California Government Code Section 549.57.8. The property is 285 Mare Island Way. The agency negotiator, Gillian Hain, Assistant City Manager, and Brad Paul, Interim Economic Development Director. The negotiating parties, Wendy Stevenson and Monique Mitchell. Under negotiation, price and terms of payment of lease. The council did not take any action with regard to this item. And item C.
And I will turn it over to the Vice Mayor for item C.
Yes, I will go ahead and provide the report out for item 3C, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9 D2, 2 cases, and counsel provided direction to special counsel.
All right, thank you. That is going to bring us to our consent calendar. And prior to that, I want to, as part of approving the agenda, given that we have many commenters and that we continued this item from our last meeting, I would like to move the information item, the police reform update, to be heard first prior to the consent calendar and the action calendar. And if there are not objections, I don't know that we need a motion, but I can make one if needed. Councilmember Matias.
We have a lot of staff and a lot of personnel that's here attached to consent. If that's an easy item, can we just vote on it so we can send folks home and then do police reform?
Why don't we do this? I'll go ahead and move, let's take public comment on this. We have to take public comment. Let's take public comment on the consent calendar. I'll move to adopt the agenda in this consent calendar, moving the police reform item first. And then if anyone has any consent items they want to pull, we'll take those after the police reform update. So let's go ahead and open up public comment on the consent calendar then.
Through the mayor, we
Let it
do not
run.
have any members currently signed up for the consent
All
calendar.
right, I do think we have some folks in person that are here to speak on the consent calendar. So if we do have any commenters, let's go ahead and call them.
No one in person, Mayor.
Okay, let's give it just a bit more. So again, we're up to item 5, public comment regarding consent calendar items. Going once, going twice. We don't have anyone in person. Anyone online at this time? I'm going to give them 15 more seconds and then I'm going to close public comment online.
Through the mayor, currently do not have any members of the public signed up for this item.
All right. With that, I will make the motion that we approve agenda and consent calendar. Or actually, I will ask, do any council members have anything they would wish to remove from the consent calendar? Councilmember Bergenzer and then Councilmember Letashew.
I'd like to pull item D.
All right, so that's item 6D. That'll be 6.1. Councilmember Letashew.
Aye.
And item I, that is 6I. That's going to become 6.2. So seeing no others, I will change my motion. I will move that we approve the agenda and consent calendar, moving the police reform informational item to be heard first, followed by the consent item D, which will become 6.1, and I, which will become 6.2, and the rest of the agenda as is, and the rest of the consent calendar as is. And I believe we're ready to vote.
I've been informed the voting module's not working tonight, so I will be conducting roll call
All right, let's do a roll call vote.
We're having tech problems.
Okay. Mayor Source.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Matulik.
Aye.
Council members Bergenzer.
Aye.
Gordon.
Aye.
Letashew.
Aye.
Matias.
Yes.
Paul Mears.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
All right, thank you all. That was a good idea, just in case we had folks just here for consent. Now we're going to move on to our reordered information calendar, which was previously item 8. And there is one item on here, which is our police reform update that was continued from the previous meeting. So we'll take the staff presentation, then we'll take public comment, and then we will take council questions. Yeah. All right, so we'll turn it over for the presentation.
All right. Good evening, Mayor, City Council members. Jason Taub, Vallejo Chief of Police. Tonight, we're going to provide a quick overview on our police reform status. First, we'll talk about the collaborative reform initiative that was started in 2020 that continued to 2023. We'll move into the settlement agreement that started in 2024. We'll talk briefly about year 1 and year 2 goals and status. We'll talk about a brief explanation on the reform work process. Talk about some achievements that we've reached. Talk about the Racial Identity and Profiling Act, which is detention data analysis and efforts. And then lastly, we'll just brief on the year 1 annual report. So with me tonight is Captain Jeremy Huff. He'll be presenting the slide deck. And then at the end, we'll turn it over to any questions you all may have.
Good afternoon, everyone. Perfect. So as the chief stated, in 2020, we entered a collaborative reform which contained 45 reform recommendations. Throughout that 3-year period, we worked on that and obtained substantially compliant completion of 27 of the reforms. And then 18 of those reforms are now in various stages in our new agreement with the Department of Justice and VET, which is the Vallejo evaluation team. In April of 2024, the California Department of Justice, or Cal DOJ, entered into the settlement agreement with the City of Vallejo and VPD requiring reforms to VPD's policies and practices. As part of the agreement, the city and VPD will engage in a comprehensive set of actions led by an independent evaluator, Jensen Hughes, and overseen by the Cal DOJ. Strategic areas of focus are, there's 9 sections. There's general provisions, use of force, bias, free policing, stops, seizures, and searches, responding to and interacting with people with behavioral health disabilities or in crisis, management, supervisory oversight, community policing, personnel complaint review, and oversight and reform. Within the first year, or year 1 reforms, there were 69 reforms based on the new settlement agreement with Cal DOJ and VET. Within those 69 specific reforms, there were over 350 compliance measures within the 69 reforms. In those 350 compliance measures, there's an average of 2 to 6 compliance measures per reform. Next. That's it. So in year 2, there was an additional 20 reforms in addition to the original 69. They provided us with 114 new compliance measures for the 20 new reforms, which averaged 3 to 9 compliance measures per reform. And then in year 3, we have 19 new reforms, and they have recently provided us 67 compliance measures for those 19 new reforms. In the compliance measures, there's individual steps and processes required to fulfill and complete the recommendations in each reform. After those are completed, you have to identify verifiable actions and documents or other evidence needed to satisfy the compliance measures. It starts, the reform process starts with a policy, which typically results in training, followed by constant monitoring and verifying, followed by the evidence of completion, equaling substantial compliance. To get a new or updated policy, there are numerous steps. We frequently check on best practices, for example, IACP or PERF, which is the International Association of Chiefs of Police, case law, or other agencies. We gather community input, and we have department or union input during the meet and confer process. After that, there's a training plan developed along with implementation, followed by ongoing monitoring and updates and verification, which equates to evidence of completion of a reform. For the training portion, we again consult with IACP and PERF, case law, and other agencies. We determine the style of training that will be provided, whether it's in person or virtual, and the format that it will be presented, consulting the policy and law. There's development and collaboration with VET, which is, again, the Vallejo evaluation team, followed by the implementation of all the training, equaling evidence of completion. These are the overall stages of a reform. There's policy drafting, policy collaboration, the policy gets approved, the training drafting, the training collaboration, then the approval of training, then the training delivery, the implementation of the new policy, drafting a compliance submission review, substantial compliance, and then ultimately the reform is terminated. This is a short chart of year 1 and year 2 reform to show you kind of a snapshot of where we are now and the percentage of completion. Some of them are between 0% and others are 100%. Most are somewhere in the middle. Again, this is for substantial completion of a single reform, which entails multiple compliance measures. This is one small section or a snapshot of 2A, which is use of force. There were 21 total. Of those, we have substantially completed 5 of the compliance measures, and we have started on others. But it's just a snapshot of where they are, noting that we don't complete or obtain substantial compliance until everything is completed, and we have vetted it out and shown that we have continued to follow the policy. There have been several accomplishments. We currently staff the CIAD with 1 lieutenant, 2 sergeants, a corporal, a retired annuitant. We're working on a project consultant, or actually we do contract with a consultant, and there are 4 administrative analysts. Policy 1011, which is complaints, it's been updated and it's currently in the final edits. Policy 300, which was use of force, the policy aligns with best practices and compliance. Policy 302, critical incident, communication and outreach. There's an updated policy regarding process and community messaging. 401, which is bias-free policing, policy's been updated to include department-wide 8-hour training in November and December of 2025, and an additional briefing training in June of 2026. Policy 312, which is search and seizure, is currently being updated, and we're in collaboration with VET. And community policing policy is currently also being created, and we're in collaboration with VET. We completed our Racial and Identity Profiling Act, or RIPA, policy, which implemented to include department training completed and the publication of the RIPA report. We created a de-escalation award back in 2024 and again in 2025. We now have a critical incident review boards process to include the addition of a community member within the CURB. Policy training and auditing system created for officers, contacts regarding traffic and pedestrian interactions. Updates to the Vallejo Police Department's website related to police reform to include updated complaints or complement portal, police reform progress, reports, and substantially compliant reforms. This is just a snapshot of our RIPA report from 2024 that shows individuals we come into contact with during calls for service and individuals that we come into contact with during proactive contact. For the 2025 report, we will be exploring the use of collision data as a benchmark as opposed to population data to better benchmark driving behavior and to better understand the driving population within the city of Vallejo. The summary of the VET Year 1 annual report. The full report can be found at www.vallejomonitor.com or at vallejopd.net. They noted recognition of the creation and operation of the CIAD, which is the Compliance, Integrity, and Accountability Division, as a best practice for managing and coordinating the reform efforts. They praised the departments for its engagement and responsiveness despite the staffing challenges. There were substantial compliance received for 10 settlement agreement reforms and 7 collaborative reform initiative recommendations. An obstacle for VPD was capacity. It was recommended to consider a full-time project manager for the CIAD division and improve communication with the community regarding reform efforts.
Okay, with that, we're going to conclude our report out.
All right, thank you. So what I'm going to have us do is take our public comment, and we will hear everybody. If we can go one at a time in the public comment, we'll make sure everybody gets their time. We'll take our in-person speakers, and then we'll take our online speakers. And I'll remind everyone that the noise does carry, so just if we can respect the speaker that's speaking and address comments to the city council, we'll make sure everybody gets their time. Let's call our first speaker.
Yes, Madam Mayor. We do currently have 8 people signed up to speak. The first 3 speakers in this order are Michelle Monterosa, Kat Brooks, and Antoinette S. My apologies.
And through the mayor and for the public speakers, please use the handheld microphone so we can hear your comments.
Okay, so we'll just make sure it's on first. Let's just make sure is the mic on? Yep. All right.
Thank y'all for holding this. I don't even know what to say anymore because, one, we were here 2 weeks ago, and it seems like things went tone deaf out one ear because we were just here and telling y'all if y'all didn't take this seriously, you would have another family here. There's another family here who just lost their loved one by this police department. And I want y'all to sit with that. I was just here saying it's been 6 years since I lost my brother. What are we doing? These reform measures, yes, they were important, but what are we doing beyond having another family be here? Y'all have been kicked out of your insurance pool twice from this police department, killing people. When and whose case are we going to take seriously so there's not us having to come here every Tuesday, every city council to beg for y'all to care about black and brown bodies being killed by this police department? Y'all are trying to sell this city as a way of having people come here, and you can't welcome people if you're not going to have a police department that is going to stop killing people. No one wants to move here. No one wants to see and raise their kids here and be afraid of, hey, you know, this police officer you may have met when you were in school might have been okay. Give him the conversation that maybe one day it might be you. How does that feel? I really thought that after Sean, shit would stop. After the DOJ and everything, and yeah, y'all were mandated to put on this presentation, but what are you doing? No one has ever reached out to any of us families to sit down with us and be like, hey, we are tired. We are tired. I have to put on a front every fucking day to make it seem like I'm the strong sister, and I am. But now I have to welcome another family to this. We could have been 6 years past this. I don't even know at this point what else we can say or I can say, but I had to come with my demands. And y'all need to fire and decertify every officer named in the Badgeman report that is still being employed by your police department. At this point, have them sue the city. I'm sorry, but you need a clean house in order to restore. You can't Band-Aid this no more. Y'all need to release the body cam and dash camera footage of the fatal chase of Marcus Cutter and an investigation. Y'all need to remove City Attorney Neb if she's the one pending the outcome of investigations into destruction of evidence and files from police shootings, suppression of records, and everything that's halting. Investigate and remove every officer hired despite being disqualified for employment, and immediately remove the recruitment unit of the officer promoted to sergeant while these questions were outstanding. Name and hold accountable every obstructing the police officer, oversight commission. Enact real police change with enforceable accountability, genuine transparency, and community safety at the center of it, because what just happened from us being here 2 weeks ago is not it, and it's just broken promises at this point.
Time.
All right, thank you.
That next speaker is Kat Brooks.
No, I'm going to let the families go in front of me.
My name is Antoinette, sister of Angel Ramos. I just want to reiterate those demands really quick. So the first one on behalf of the families is to fire and decertify every officer named in the badge bending report. And in my opinion, there should be no time frame in which that does not apply. For instance, Officer Zachary Jacobson was not able to get his certification taken away because of the time frame in which the incident happened. There should not be any type, that should not exist, especially with such a huge scandal of badgerment. And there's no way that time frame should matter in accountability. Second, again, like Michelle said, the fact that y'all have another family member here, a daughter here, he had another son, and 2 other babies, 8 years old and 11 years old. That's 4 kids. His sister is here, so I know how she feel. 4 kids taken away from their dad. Because y'all want to show that y'all so big and badass, chase somebody down residential streets, lying saying that they made it to a street that they never made it to, and then drove right past him and left him for dead. Lied and said that you called off a chase and y'all got caught again with y'all lying ass with sirens and lights still on, going full force up that street right past him. Number 3, fire City Attorney Nebb. Fire City Attorney Nebb. I don't know which police officer you have been in bed with. I don't know which one that your kids have been in bed with. Yeah, look me in my eyes. Look me in my eyes. Because the shit that you're hiding, I will go to my altar and pray to my brother that he come and haunt you in your dreams. And every family come and haunt you in your dreams. You are a descendant of a slave catcher, and it shows in every single move that you make, in every single decision and investigation and evidence that you tried to hide under your white ass. You look at that Ripper report, the highest percentage of African Americans pulled over when they only make up less than 20% of Vallejo's population? What are y'all talking about here? 4, again, investigate and remove every officer hired despite being disqualified. Y'all know what disqualified mean, right? Yes, okay. For employment, and immediately remove from the recruitment unit the officer promoted to sergeant, right? There was one officer who was deemed unqualified and unfit and still was promoted.
Time.
That's not time.
It's time.
No one under an unresolved hiring eligibility question should be selecting the next generation of officers. 5, name and hold accountable everyone obstructing the Police Oversight Commission, including a public accounting of what was delayed, by whom, and for how long. The fact that y'all are vetting your own self on what reform policies y'all have done is ridiculous. Last but not least, enact real change. Policy change, police reform, whatever y'all want to call it. I'm an abolitionist. I say get rid of their ass. But in the meantime, right, this is enforceable accountability, holding them accountable for their actions. Genuine transparency. That means not coming out, Chief Todd, and saying that they called off a chase. That means showing and releasing the body cam and dash cam footage. That is transparency. That is hurry up and get with the investigation, because we know y'all gonna bullshit it anyway, so that the family can know which officers killed their loved one and drove right past them. And community safety at its center, including a no chase policy. Given the documented history of Vallejo police during their chase, killing bystanders within the community that had absolutely nothing to do with the chase on more than one occasion. The fact that they are going to the speed limit, I don't know if y'all know this, but there is no speed limit cap on Vallejo Police Department. There is no separate chase policy when it comes to a motorcycle vehicle versus a regular vehicle, and there's clear difference. One can definitely lead to injury and death a lot faster. That means that, and I'm sure that y'all know Vallejo is predominantly residential area. That means Vallejo police can fly 150 miles per hour down a residential street with no consequences and kill who they want. Y'all need to hold them accountable. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Next speaker. I've got Kat Brooks up on.
I'm checking to see if there's any other families that want to speak.
So you can sign up. If you're not on the list, you can go ahead and sign up on in the back. Let's go ahead and take the speakers that have signed up, and we'll make sure everybody that wants to speak gets in. Okay, we're gonna have you sign up and come up when it's your turn. All right.
Well, then you should go before me.
Good evening, City Council. I would just say sitting here listening to this ridiculous reform report is absolutely ridiculous. It's infuriating, and it's just ridiculous that we're still here. And for them to be able to sit here with these faces and speak on these bullshit reports when within the last couple of weeks they have done the exact same thing, which is lie to the news. You know, it's no telling what else. I mean, this disgusting piece of shit sitting right here is the reason why the evidence in my brother's case was destroyed. Yeah, you. And to sit here and act as if you guys are really doing true reforms. What are the reforms? You're removing your hoods, hiding the crosses. It's ridiculous that we're all still here and you guys are still killing people. I don't know if it was a carjacking suspect because my brother was supposedly a parolee afraid of going back to prison. Unfortunately, Neb made sure that all the evidence was destroyed in the case as within the last couple of years. Yes, you did. You did. But it doesn't matter because we're going to get justice one way or another. And hopefully all the things that you do will live in your body and in your life like a cancer that takes you out the way you have taken out the hopes and the dreams of the people of this community. She can say what she wants to, because at the end of the day, she is a big part of the reason why things are going the way that they are. You made the bed, now you lay in it. It's not a whole lot to say. We're tired, we're pissed off, we're grieving. We will not get closure, we will not stop, and this is on your watch. And you've been warned. This can't go on. This can't go on. And to know that you have a police department that has lied consistently, falsified evidence, destroyed evidence, murdered people, bent badges, and then we sit up here like we're drinking some damn Kool-Aid and listen to these bullshit reports that are not true. With a police chief who sits down with groups that have no real interaction with impacted families. And we know who those groups are, so I don't care if you have 100 black people sitting on one side to support the new city manager. Those people are not the people who have supported the families of people murdered by Vallejo Police Department. So I really hope that you guys decide to enact some type of change and to enact it expediently. Because if you don't, whatever happens is going to be on your hands.
Thank you. So I think that was our last family. Well, we can go from here with Ms. Brooks in order, and I'll just remind our speakers to address your comments to the City Council.
We have one more family, Savante Clark.
Yeah, no justice. No justice. No justice. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. And if we don't get it, if we don't get it, if Willie don't get it, if Sean don't get it, if Angel don't get it,
Ronell don't get it. Stefan don't get it. Marcus don't get it. If we don't get it, I said if we don't get it, no justice. And if we don't get no justice, you don't get no peace. Now, thank you, Cap Brooks. Come on now, I love you. Come on now. We here because we want justice and accountability on all levels. And also, it's obviously the city attorney ain't been doing her job. That's what's been obvious. And we here to call for the firing of this city attorney, of the removal of this city attorney. And she's not paying no attention. You know, she looks like Carol Baskins. And she's disrespectful to the families that have been impacted. And, you know, I came to Vallejo because I wanted to make sure that these families got some solidarity from some families in Sacramento. And I'm from Sacramento. I'm not even living in Vallejo, but I came out here to make sure that I stand in solidarity with these families because enough is enough. These badge-bending cops, gots to go. Gots to go. And it shouldn't be the Monterosa family and the Ramos family coming out here every damn week and every time it's a police incident to stand with families when y'all should be doing y'all damn jobs. You know, and I don't want to be here. I hate coming to shit like this. I really do. I hate seeing Cat Brooks under these circumstances because that means somebody ain't been doing their job. And around here, it looks like the whole city ain't been doing their job. The whole city has failed these families. The city has failed the family of Willie McCoy. We remember Willie Bowe. So we here in solidarity with the families because every time you say the name Angel Ramos, you say Willie McCoy, you say Marcus Cutter, you say the name Stefan Clark. You say the name Sean Monterosa, Mario Romero. Where the family at? Come on now. Come on now. That's too many names. Come on now. Say his name. Come on now. Say their names. Let's go. So that every time you say every single one of those names, you say the name Stefan Clark. So whenever I get the call to be here, I'm going to be here in solidarity with all these families. And you know what? Even if I can't make it out here, y'all know I'm in Sacramento. I'm a phone call away. And fuck the city attorney right here. Neb got to go. You know, I'm going to use my last 10 seconds to say fuck the city attorney. Yeah, she got to go. And no justice. Come on.
All right, thank you.
Hello, I'm the sister of Mario Romero, and I feel like you guys' whole speech was a bunch of bullshit. You can't reform anything without no sort of accountability, period. Can't fix nothing without accountability. Justice for Mario Romero.
Mario Romero. Mario Romero. Mario Romero. My name is Kat Brooks. I'm the co-founder and executive director of the Anti-Police Terror Project, and Mario Romero is the first murder by the Vallejo Police Department that I was driving from Oakland to Vallejo in response to. So that's how long I have been coming here to no avail. And I got at you for chastising her because how dare you? Nobody gets to tell them how they should act, how they should hold their grief, how they should process their trauma. If they want to cuss and scream and curse the people responsible for there being no accountability, I don't use the word justice because only justice would be their loved ones back at the kitchen table. But if they want to curse you, how Mama Angela say, jail or hell? They have the right to do that because their loved ones have been murdered and she's helping to cover it up. So there's no chastising them. There's no asking people to act with some level of decorum. When you have a rogue-ass police department murdering people as every whipstitch as the wind blows. And real quick, before I get too far down my emotional rant, I want to talk about police chases for a second because one of the reporters asked me how I felt doing this for a decade and a half, almost 2 decades at this point. My biggest frustration, hi again. My biggest frustration is data, the lack of utilization of data. Data-driven decision-making around public safety policies. And you know what the data says about police chases? They don't work. They're absolutely useless. That innocent bystanders, as your city well knows, get killed. Cops get killed. They do not stop crime. They do not solve crime. They do not prevent crime. They are useless. This man is dead for no reason. None, nada at all. And if you all don't do nothing else, you have got to pass a chase policy, a no chase policy in the city. You absolutely have to. There's no excuse. You do not have a shred of data or evidence that says you should not have one, or that these police officers who cannot seem to control themselves, cannot stop harming, raping, killing, murdering, celebrating the murders of community members. They need a leash. They need a container. They need parameters of their behavior. And I'm sorry, all them steps, you need all them steps to stop killing people? You need all them steps to stop racially profiling people? You need all them steps to stop pretending you have warrants and rushing up into people's house and violating people's civil rights? You don't need steps for that. Do not kill. Do not racially profile. Do not rape. Do not frame. Do not beat. That's it. You don't need 8,000 steps. I'm from Oakland. That was supposed to be a 5-year process, the federal oversight process. You know how many years? 23. So I'm about to tell you all are wasting your time. You are wasting your time. You are wasting your time. And it's an insult and affront to the families. And what I guarantee you, because I've been here before, we told you, they told you they was back. It don't get any better from here. It gets worse for y'all. For y'all, it gets worse. Stop fucking killing us.
Thank you.
How y'all doing? I'm Terrell Hines. I kind of stuttered, but I'm just letting y'all know. I'm gonna just sum this up. It shouldn't be. All right, so look.
If you could just make sure the mic is at your mouth so we can hear you.
It can hear me.
That's it. Yeah.
All right. A person is just one guy, you know. It's a lot of cops, you know. It's a lot of cops, but it's just one guy. Hear me out. If y'all see a guy sleep, don't just assume the bad. You gotta go and just check him out, or just you try a different just way, cause bro, that was terrible, bro. The GOD, like, he was in the car, bro. He was asleep. You know, he was asleep. If I'm asleep and I could just wake up like, oh, I see y'all, I'm gonna be scared. I'm gonna be scared, y'all, you know? I'm just one guy. Y'all all circled the whole car, bruh. It dumped all y'all guns, bruh. That's not cool, bruh. How many shots? That's not good, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. I thought it was more. I'm gonna keep it 100. You see that? No. A gun, bro. A gun is a whole. A gun is just a thing, bro. You could just use, bro. You gotta use your head, bro. You know, you gotta. I'm 24 years old, bro. You gotta to use your head. I've been to jail. I've been through all that, bro. I ain't gonna like GOD, bro. Use your head, bro. You tell us, bro, to you tell us, bro, kids, bro, to use our heads, bro. Can't y'all, bro? You feel me? I got a mom. I got a dad, bro. I'm not all this out of 10 kids, bro. You feel me? I'm trying to keep them on their toes. Basically alive. Again, alive. You know, I stutter. You know, I'll just sum that up. Yeah. Again, just use your head, bro. It's not hard.
Thank you.
I just want to say, rest in peace, all the people that have been murdered by these evil people. Rest in peace, Willie Bo. And, you know, I think it's sad how we have a government, we have a system. You guys supposed to be leaders and supposed to inspire others to be leaders, but you're murdering people. Make it make sense. Like, why are you killing somebody that's not doing anything? They're not doing nothing. You killed Willie Bo because he was in a car asleep at Taco Bell, bruh. Make it make sense. He was just tired. I know a whole bunch of people that just park at a random spot real quick because they had a long day and they were just tired. But I would be very frightened if I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 police officers shining lights. I'm gonna be like, of course I'm gonna move around. I got lights all over my face. Like, who's shining lights on my face? And then next thing you know, bah, 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 bah. That ain't fair. That ain't fair. I live with Willie McCoy's nephew and niece. They go through this pain every day. They talk about Willie Bo every day. And he ain't here. He ain't did nothing to nobody. All he did was his music, and he was a chill guy. I swear, I know Willie Bo. Y'all don't know Willie Bo, because if y'all did, y'all wouldn't just assume and just be shooting him. This has to stop. Y'all keep killing people for nothing. Nothing. What is y'all motive for killing people? What is y'all motive? Y'all don't have no motive. That's why you sitting there looking like that, stuck. Because y'all don't have no real answer. Y'all just want to kill people for fun nowadays. If y'all want to kill people for fun, then don't be a police officer. Because real police officers save the day. Real police officers protect and serve. Last time I checked, police officers don't get that badge just to kill people for no reason. This ain't Grand Theft Auto. Where, oh, I see the man running. Oh, I'm going to automatically just shoot him. This ain't GTA 5, bruh. Willie ain't coming back because of y'all, bruh. Angel Ramos ain't coming back because of y'all, bruh. Sean ain't coming back. Rondell, Mario, they not coming back because y'all killed them for no reason. Innocent people. Like, it's sad, bro. It's really sad. My own homie is scared to come outside, bruh, because of y'all. Because of y'all, bruh. Barely come outside, barely drive his Jeep, bruh. Because y'all always be on bullshit. Excuse my language, but it's the truth, though. Long live Willie, bro. I'm gone, bruh.
Thank you.
Real quick, I also wanted to lift up the name of Ramel, who was also just killed by Vallejo police. And I think a lot of the community will fail to uplift situations like that because they say he shot at them first. But I think a good point that he just brought up was knowing the history and understanding the history of Vallejo police. If you are addressed, if they approach you, if I was a black man in Vallejo, I'm gonna keep it 100, I would shoot first too. Because I'd rather go out knowing that I defended my life or I took that first shot knowing, than for them to get me without doing anything. I would rather go out, shoot him first, than to let them have the satisfaction of taking me. So his name deserves to be lifted up too, regardless if you justify that he shot at them first. I would have too. I just wanted to put that out there.
All right, I'm going to have us get through the rest of the speakers.
Okay, I'm gonna get straight to it. the city has wasted precious time concealing the badge bending report for 5 years. And while none of you were sitting here at the time of these disgusting VPD rituals, it is your responsibility now, today. While the VPD was having a community forum to talk about the police shooting of the suspected carjacker, where is the community forum on the badge bending report? What kind of activity is the city going to hold to discuss the badge bending report? It goes beyond these demands to fire and decertify every officer named in the badge bending report. Talk about it. You guys are busy talking about all the other things that you do, all of the reform, all of the PR. You have news outlets talking about how the VPD is responding to the crime wave in Vallejo, which we know is not true because the stats tell us that crime is down. But there's all this showcasing and all this showboating about what they're doing. What about the badge bending report? While some of you sitting here voted to give promotions and raises to those badge benders, when are you going to talk about the report? When are you going to release the body camera and dash camera footage of the fatal chase of Marcus Cutterer? Where's that community forum? When do we get to talk about that? When are you going to have any kind of disciplinary action against City Attorney Nebb for concealing and destroying evidence? Isn't that not your jobs? If not your job, then whose job? Because then we'll go to their desk and we'll ask them. Investigate and remove every officer hired despite being disqualified for employment. Why do we have unqualified officers? Incompetent officers. Like the young man said, they are not even using their own common sense. Just trigger happy, ready to kill, to gain clout, to gain respect amongst their ranks. Name and hold accountable everyone obstructing the Police Oversight Commission. Police Oversight Commission has been railroaded. So much interference in them being able to do their job. Why do we have one? Because of the bad behavior of this police gang. That's why we have one. Get out their way. Enact real police change with enforceable accountability, genuine transparency, and community safety at its center. Talking about this police chase. Talking about giving boundaries around what these officers are allowed to do and not do. It is your responsibility, every single one of you sitting at this dais, to take action, and we expect it.
Thank you.
So we want to make sure everybody that did sign up is speaking. Did Kim Diocampo speak? Okay, there we go.
Thank you, Council, for allowing me to speak. I first want to recognize that the only person on Council, our Mayor, Andrea Source, is the only one that has supported, spoke out, and showed solidarity to the impacted families. None of y'all have done shit. And I've been here for 3 city councils, 3 turnover city councils, and the same thing. Y'all don't do nothing. So, and I also want to say to anybody in this room that is running for a seat in city council, you ain't done shit either. So, like I said, my name is Kim Diocampo, and I've been a resident of this city since 1959. I came here today to simply ask, what is police reform supposed to look like in the absence of justice? When the badge bending report has no teeth, when the Police Oversight Commission is biased and it excludes the people who actually experience harm by the Vallejo police. How do you hold anyone accountable in a system built on power and not justice? And to all those police apologist organizations out here that take bloodstained dollars and And it seems rather counterproductive to rely on a violent entity to end violence. It's like asking the KKK to end racism. You know that's not going to happen. So my words to you is simply what I've been saying. Show respect to these families. Where is their seat at the table? Center their voices and their concerns. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bridget Doherty. Bridget Doherty.
I just have a question. Were you or were you not closed on December 24th? Was that Christmas Eve? Christmas Eve? Were you open Christmas Eve? I shouldn't have to take off my mask to make public comment.
We're all right.
You can hear me, it's okay.
We can hear you. We can't respond to you in the public comment period.
I understand that. It's a question I'm posing to all of y'all, right? Because on Christmas Eve, probably everybody was in this audience at home having some kind of family activity, right? Getting ready for Christmas. Did y'all hear of the person who didn't make it home that day, who was swept up like trash? Because we're getting a report from the police department right now. Where does the data include the person that was murdered by city staff on Christmas Eve? Because these issues aren't just now part of your gang police, but it's now part of your gang City of Vallejo employee staff now. Anybody that works as a public works employee, yeah, you're probably going to get called out to kill somebody. It's not just the police. And if you're not with the people here impacted, then you're against them. So I just ask that y'all get on the right side of history, because again, it's not just the police. Your other city head departments are complicit. You know, who's in charge of keeping your records? Man, Dawn Abrahamson's been here for a long ass time. I wonder what secret she's holding and has gotten rid of by simply just existing in her position. Or what person she's hired or fired to be an accomplice in getting rid of information, secrets, lies, truths that you've been withholding from this community for a really long time that they deserve to hear, they deserve to know about. And it's not just about the police, it's everyone. Y'all are all complicit. And I'm sorry that this is a reality that you're stepping into, but get really familiar with the faces really right here, because these are the people that you're going to have to be responding to and meeting with actively. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. All right, we got
Bridget Doherty. Yeah, I didn't. She's
Good evening, Council, Mayor. I came here, as I always come here, to support the impacted families and to remind you that we're still waiting for news or a resolution or an agenda item that says we're going to be getting rid of Neb, because she's still here. And last time I was here, I was wondering why she was here, and I'm back and she's still here. So we're wondering that. And I was going to speak on something a little different, but because Chief Ta brought Officer Huff with him, I figured I'd point out to you that you have a cop that murdered a child, a 17-year-old child, sitting in front of you. His name was Jared Huey. He was killed in 2012, and his death was so brutal. I could describe some of it to you, but I don't want to give a trigger warning because it's so brutal. But I just want to say, as I just went with his father to put balloons up where he was killed in June, that He's always described to me what happened to his son. That's a broken family. He's a Vietnam vet. His son was killed by Vallejo PD. When he went to see his son, he could not recognize his son. His son was killed with long guns, close range. His arm was severed from his body.
We can have you come up
His
after.
body was unrecognizable.
We're just going to go one at a time. You're welcome to come up after.
It's just, it's egregious. And this is the level of complete bullshit that the Vallejo police wants to shove down everybody's throat. Because what if Jared's father was here tonight? I'm here because I know he couldn't be here. I'm here for Daryl Medford, who she said she was going to help with years ago. But we've got a Dante, so we've got help. But guess what? I just can't believe that you guys want to sit here and act like you care, and act like, I know the mayor cares. I know she cares. I've gone to occasions where she's shown up for impacted families at their barbecues, not for killing somebody, but for remembering who they were. But here we sit, acting like, what? What are we acting like? Like, he didn't do that? I've got video of him from the side because I'm trying to get the women and the impacted families over his head, and how nervous and how unjarring it is for him to sit there and listen to these stories. How nerve-wracking must it be? Okay, how nerve-wracking must it be for him to stare at the poster that I put right there and Jared's face is on it? So,
all right.
It's
Thank you. We can't do
it's
that.
obscene
Thank you.
that you even have him here in this room with these impacted families. It's obscene.
Thank you.
Alicia S. Nope. Okay. Okay.
I'm here against medical advice because this is just ridiculous. We're here talking about police reform with a police department that has time and time again shown us that they have no respect for the sanctity of human life, the oppressed, the grieving, the downtrodden. I don't usually call myself to preach, but inasmuch as ye have done this unto the least of thee, my brethren, you have done it unto me. And that comes from the Bible. I don't know if any of you folks are familiar with that, but we have, as human beings, as children of God, we have a calling to speak up and advocate for the people who can't speak for themselves. The 17-year-old boy who screamed and pled for his life when this man executed him in front of a bunch of witnesses. A 17-year-old boy, our only child victim. And you bring this person here feigning reform to sit and look at us. Thank God his father's not here today. Thank God he doesn't have to decide whether he wants to go to prison attacking the man who got away with murder and got promoted again and again and again. And speaking of promotions, last time I was here, I was speaking about Chief Shawnee Williams being subjected to racism, threats, and terror, and how he was ran out of town. Most of you guys weren't even here. Andre was here on this side of it, speaking about what happened, and they ignored us. They hid it. That you continue to hide it. Our first black police chief, the pride of our community, who was actually doing police reform, holding people accountable, terminating people, disciplining people, and he started getting called Black Jesus. And you know what? This city, in this city hall, in this city attorney's office, ran Chief Williams out of town, and they let his buddy, who had came in to help reform, help clean up the mess. And they didn't investigate the written threats that Chief Williams got, despite the fact that there would have been fingerprint evidence, and they could have actually looked to see who in their department threatened their first chief, ran him out of town out of fear for his life, but you guys wouldn't investigate it. And here we are years later, and it comes up again, and now I had to get him under testimony. I had to get Chief Williams under sworn testimony because I knew the city was gonna lie. Just like they were gonna lie about the misconduct records that's now in the Superior Court that the city has admitted that they were hiding records from us. Well, you guys don't wanna investigate that. You guys don't wanna investigate Colin Eaton, who in his own paperwork to come and work here, it was determined that he was not certifiable as a police officer because he's a thief. And it was hidden from me until it got leaked. And when it got leaked to me, what did the Vallejo Police Department do? This reformed police department that can see in their own paperwork that he's not supposed to be working here, they promoted him to a sergeant after the news came out and put him in front of, drum roll, recruitment. This is clown shit. You guys choose whether you want to wear the red shoes or we want to be serious adults. I know we got professional people up here. We got military people. We got people up here that uphold standards, who've had to meet standards to be in professional. Take this job seriously, just like that. People have died. People have died. And if you don't take it seriously, they're going to keep dying. And you know what? I'm tired of investigating Vallejo Police Department, and I guarantee you should want to be tired of me investigating you too.
Thank you.
Lock H. Lock H. LOCH.
We'll just go.
That's the, did Tennyson J speak? Tennyson J? Yeah, he spoke. Oh, he did? Okay.
Anyone else
That's
in-
the end of the list that I had.
All right, why don't we take online speakers?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, we have one online speaker. Ann C. You have the floor.
We'll just ask you to mute that so we can hear the online speaker. We'll ask you to mute the music so we can hear the online speaker. Thank
Hello.
you.
Testing, testing. Hi, it's Ann Carr. And I guess what struck me about tonight's report is that it sounded so bureaucratic and like there's this checklist that the police department can make and show that bingo, they have reform. And to me, maybe it's just a matter of people not having good presentation skills, but the contrast between kind of a deadpan reading of a list versus the pain of people who have lost family members just couldn't be more pronounced. And what comes to mind for me is that I think the real measure of reform is not whether somebody thinks that, quote, they've substantially met the list that they have, but it's actually changed attitudes and it's making things right. There's a notion that when you do something wrong, making an apology is easy to do, but what really sets things right is making amends. You try to change your behavior, and I'm not seeing that yet. The biggest change I will say I've seen in the police department is that some members of the police force now actually try to do their job. Whereas before it seemed like it was just an all-out war and blue flu against the community. But I don't think that them starting to enforce certain laws is enough. There are deep wounds and resentment and distrust because of the excessive use of force, the killing, fighting the Police Oversight Commission, hounding Shawnee Williams out of town, and first and foremost, not meeting with the impacted families. That's been on the list for real reform measures forever, and there has to be a way of making that happen that doesn't impinge on what the city feels like they need to protect themselves legally. So I would like to see some changed attitudes, some changed behaviors. And I'm frankly, the report tonight doesn't give me that confidence. And that's just very, very sad. And the longer we go without truly making things right, the worse the resentment and the distrust is going to be. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Do we have any other online speakers?
Chair, or through the mayor, no other speakers at this time.
All right, we will close public comment on that item. Want to thank everyone who commented. One of the things that we talked about in the reform subcommittee and that I spoke with the city manager about prior to this item was that we are going to need more time for this. So we are talking about doing a special meeting sometime in the next couple months to go through the evaluator's report for the reforms and have more substantive discussion. I do want to give one turn for every council member that wants to speak, and then we'll take a short recess and we'll go with the rest of our agenda. So if any council members have anything they want to ask or respond, I will make a few remarks quickly, and I'll try to model what brevity might look like here. So this is obviously for the four of us that are new here. This is the first time that we've had police reform agendized since we took council seats. And I have been on the ad hoc reform subcommittee. We have been trying to get this on an agenda for probably 6 months to a year now. And I want to thank our new city manager and folks that finally made it possible. One of the things that I have emphasized is that for me, the most important thing is rebuilding trust. Rebuilding trust is going to require difficult work. It's going to require proper atonement, and it requires intent. And it starts with the framing. And one of the things that I'm pushing for with my voice as it matters here is that we have to, as a city, acknowledge the harm that was done, acknowledge the hurt, acknowledge the harm, and have conversations that are going to get us to a point where we can move forward. And the unwillingness of this city to this point to even acknowledge how we got here, framing the settlement agreement as some type of voluntary thing when the Attorney General of the state of California sued the city, and that's how it started. That's the start. There is a lot of work, and I want to tell this to my friends in the audience, because this is the first time I've been on this side of the dais with this issue coming up. There is actual good work happening. There is reform work happening. There are policies being changed. There are procedures being adopted. There are things that are getting pushed through with DOJ that they're auditing and checking off, and that the department's getting substantial compliance on reforms. And there are good officers practicing good policing for the city of Vallejo. That is happening because I've seen it and I'm in it. That's not going to be enough if there isn't the work done to repair the damage. And that has to come from intent, and that has to come from intent from this body and the entire leadership of the city, that there's actually a will to do the work that hasn't been done for the last 15 years. And again, it starts with the acknowledgement of the loss and the harm and the wrongdoing, and it starts with talking about what we actually can do to atone and reform, because we're just not going to get through this. Time passes. Time is not accountability. And I mean, I was here 6 years ago. I know some of the folks here have been here 12 years ago, 14 years ago. Time does not equal accountability. It doesn't matter how much time passes. If the city doesn't do something, we're not going to get through it. So that's my push here. That's my commitment. That's something that I will push for, and I'll leave the substantive discussion about the reform work, what is needed, how we're doing, and my continual calls for more communication and transparency on the reform. I'll leave that to the subsequent meeting, but I do, given that the folks came out for this particular item, I did want to say that, given it's our first time hearing this issue on the dais. This is just incredibly important to me, and I don't think we move forward as a city without working through it together. So with that, I see council members Lediju and Gordon, and we'll go one time through the dais, and then we'll take a recess.
First of all, I want to say to the impacted families, thank you for coming in again, and know that you are heard. And reform is important. We do have the Police Oversight Committee, and that committee is highly committed to this work, along with the work that's being done at the Safety Committee, and along with the reform work that is being done. And I do agree with the mayor that we have to do the hard work, and this council has started with the hard work when we came. And what I'll say to the DOJ group, part of the work is how are you in the trenches with the department and really being able on a monthly basis, reporting out what's happening with reform. How do we really talk about how we're working through all of those issues? It is also culture, as someone mentioned. How are we changing in culture? And I did notice when we talk about accountability and I look at some of the different stats, I know this work is hard. It takes a long time to get through the process. But the real question is, as we are going through the work, my council members, how are we pushing this, and how are we also leaning on our structures to push us forward and ensuring that the support is there to get the work done? And how do we work together as a body, as a city, and really have, as we said, the hard conversations? They're very hard conversations. The loss, the pain, the work that has to be done, the accountability on both sides, on the city side, on the citizen side. We have a lot to hold together, and we have to figure out how are we going to hold all of these pieces together to move forward in the work, in finding places of not just reform, but true transformation. Reform's not good enough. We have to transform. And when we transform, that means our hearts and our minds and the ways that we handle one another, respect one another, changes how we live with one another. So the question really for all of us is, how are we going to do that together, and what is the platform that we do it? Because we have 3 groups today. We have our police accountability, we have our safety, and we have the reform piece. And as we are moving the police accountability side and bringing in our independent auditor, bringing in our attorney for that group, I will tell you that group is working extremely hard to ensure whoever they choose that they are independent. And I have been sitting in those interviews. And that is going to be a very important piece of the work, because that work is community facing. And it's going to be very important that as that commission is moving forward, that we are interacting with all of our impacted families through that work and through the individuals who will potentially come on and help us do that work and help us work for restoration in our community. So we are working towards that work together, and I will agree, it is not happening fast enough, and we are being very methodical on the police accountability side to bring in the independence that is needed to help us do the work to build trust as we are working with our police department and the community.
Councilmember Gordon.
First, I wanted to address that my vote was a misunderstanding. We thought we were voting for last week for 3 minutes versus 1 minute. So I wanted to clarify that. And to the young lady who was speaking, I just wanted you to know I wanted to hear you. And so I wanted to show you that respect, that if you stand before us, you want to be heard. And so it was no meant to be disrespected, by no means. I got on the reform because I did think about Willie Mims. My son went to school with him. I understand that. I apologize, thank you. I'm trying not to say the wrong thing because I know this is very emotional. And I am an impact person from SAC who also had experiences. But this is not about me, it's about you. And I got on the reform because I wanted to make sure that it was reformed. Can I be transparent? As the mayor pointed out, that not only is DOJ holding them accountable, but so is Councilman Peter Berganza, Mayor Source, and myself. And they show up to every meeting with transparency that under Chief Taw, that he wants to make a difference. But it's hard because we are trying to understand how can we help the impact families? How can we can never bring their loved one back, but how can we not have another situation where we have another family in here? It is not something that is an easy job, but we stood up to do this work so that we are your voice. We're sitting there with you. And I have marched. I did. My son Chris marched. I marched. Not understanding the whole story, but the fact that I'm a mother. I'm a big sister of 3 brothers. Understanding that that could be my family. Some of you may not know Tito. Deontay Hudson. It's people who we see every day. He is no longer with us. He left behind 2 children. So I understand. We're not elected officials and that goes away. We still residents. We still see you. And I myself is authentic as possible, but I'm not perfect. And I'm here for you. You could email me, write me, let me know. But I'm not here to bring more hurt to you. We are reformed so that we can make moving forward different, look different, be different, and hold accountability. We asked Chief Taub to come tonight so that he makes himself present to you. And again, I just turned 60, and I really do care about that. I live in South Vallejo. I see it all the time. And if I make a mistake in how I'm saying something to you, please know it's not intentional. I do care. So thank you for allowing me this moment.
Councilmember Matias.
Thank you, Mayor. To the impacted families who are here tonight, just want to apologize for the losses that you've experienced, and I can tell you have my commitment to make sure we move this work forward, and we work this move forward in a way in which we can move forward. What I will say, because we haven't had many opportunities to talk about this, and I hope this is the first of many, is that there's conversations we have in the front, there's conversations we have in closed session, which we cannot talk about or discuss. But what I will tell you is I've seen the council do work to move the work forward. In my year plus in office. Has it been perfect? Absolutely not. I don't think we're moving fast enough, in my opinion. But I can tell you, and I'm just speaking for myself, I could go to sleep at night knowing I gave it 120% last year to get POAC online, and to make sure that we were moving some of these pieces forward. And these guys all know that. They could say they can call me out if I'm lying. So I'm committed to moving this work forward. And I think there's one thing I want to elevate, and I have to be careful because sometimes, you say things and then you get in trouble. And I'm not talking about the impacted families. Just want to say that. But what I will say is, to all the electeds, we are the city. Even though we just joined a year ago, we have a role in this too. It's not just police, it's not just the city attorney's office, it's not just the city manager. We have to take ownership of this work and move it forward. I sit on the public safety subcommittee, and there was rampant crime and all these other issues that constituents across the city said that they wanted to address. 3 of us sit on that body, and those meetings are public, folks. Those meetings are public. We have them every month. We systematically moved through every issue to make sure we were making progress and we were being responsive. Now, above and beyond that, I'm not on the Police Accountability Board. I'm not. But I also knew that that was a top concern for folks in the city. So I would periodically have check-ins with the city manager, with the city attorney, and I asked, where are we with this? Where are we with that? Where are we with this? Councilmember Letterju sits with me on those meetings. So we have a responsibility to move that work forward too. We can't just say the city, the city, the city. The residents voted us into office, and we need to take ownership of the good, the bad, and the in-between. So I expect you guys to hold me accountable. Don't cage it as like, oh, he just came in and he's new. No, we signed up for the work, and we need to make sure we move it forward, and we need to make sure we move it forward with urgency. So the call out this evening, as we continue to move this work forward, is to my peers to make sure that if this work is important, it goes on the agenda every month. You can call for a vote. It's very easy. We have these back and forths all the time. Call for a vote, and let's put it on the agenda every month. If the committee wants to report out on action, we have a section on the agenda for that. But I don't think it is appropriate for us to say, oh, we don't know, we don't know why nothing has happened. We have a police oversight, a critical incident review board. We have so many different bodies. We need to do a better job of connecting with families, moving the work forward, reporting out on the work, and also holding the police department accountable. But for us to sit back for a year and a half and be like, oh, I mean, that's not how I roll personally. So I do say, I'm saying all of this, and it seems like a stream of conscience because it is. Don't have prepared remarks. I'm saying this to you guys to say that we need to do more as your elected officials, and we're not. And we can't pretend that the city's disconnected from us, because it's not. And it's very frustrating to have meetings every couple of months and come out with the same thing over and over again without actually saying, okay, here's what we're committing ourselves as a body to doing to move it forward. Because ultimately, the city attorney and the city manager and all these folks report into us.
Councilmember Palmares.
Thank you, Mayor. I share the same sentiment as my colleagues, so I'm not going to repeat that. But I will build upon something that the mayor mentioned as far as rebuilding trust, and I'm a big believer in that. And I think what I want to critique as part of the presentation is, I understand what's going on here, but in communicating reform, I think folks need to see and hear what that means for them. So acknowledging what has happened, and then also what does this reform mean for folks at the end of the day? So if this happens, how will this help people in the end? How will this protect the community in the end? And I think that's kind of missing in this. Unless you're a reform expert in police reform, it's going to be lost on a lot of folks. And I think folks need to see and hear, what is this going to happen? What is this going to mean for average folks if they're pulled over, or if they call the police, or whatever. So that is my critique, and it's not a knock on you, Chief Todd, but it's really just, how can we get better at communicating what we're trying to do and rebuilding that trust. So thank you.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you to all the families that spoke. And I'm not going to be up here to try to say we have all the answers. because as one of the people that have been up here probably the longest, for 3.5 years, I know I've been frustrated over 3.5 years to see the little or slow progress that we've made up today. I mean, we can claim over the past year we've made progress, which we have, but obviously it hasn't been enough. And so I'm not here to do the lip service. All we need to do, and I'm holding myself and the rest of this council and our future council accountable to, it's going to come down to what actions happen in a timely manner. And so that's what I want to be held to, and that's what I want this council to be held to, is we can say whatever we want, but unless the actions happen and the reforms do happen, then we need to do a better job. Simple as that.
Go ahead, Councilmember Burgenser.
Yeah, and I don't want to repeat anything that my colleagues have said. I think that it's been very eloquently stated multiple times, so my sentiments to the family. I do have some questions about the reform itself, the presentation that we had. And I'm wondering about, you mentioned in the RIPA report, you're looking at different data than what was in the report. Can you elaborate a little on that data?
Yeah, Councilmember Burgenser. So RIPA really is new to us. So the background on RIPA is that every person that is detained, there is data collected from that detention. Sometimes the detention is temporary, sometimes it leads to an arrest, and so all of that data is collected by each department within the state of California. Right now, because like I said, this is new to us, what we use as a benchmark currently is demographic data. So for example, in our city, there's a certain percentage of different ethnicities, and that percentage is compared to the detention data. In the slide that we had presented tonight, there are two different sections. There's one section, what we determine calls for service. So for example, if we were to be called out on a domestic violence event and we contacted people and maybe detained people involved in that report or action, we would collect that data. The other half of the data that we showed on the slide is what we considered on-view or proactive stops. So those are where, for example, if we did a traffic stop, that data would also be collected. And then so both of those datas are, as I had mentioned, separated, and they're compared to demographics. What we are attempting to do is really understand what the data is telling us. So without a full understanding of what we're looking at, it may or may not be telling us to do certain things to remedy what it is that's creating the disparity. So I'll give you a couple examples. Our first evolution of this analysis will look at collision data. Many cities have looked to see within the city the folks that are involved in car collisions, and look at very simply the at-fault driver and the non-at-fault driver. So that is a different benchmark that is used to somewhat offer another perspective as opposed to just demographic data citywide. A couple of other benchmarks are darkness. So for example, if many of the detentions occur at night, let's say a vehicle stop where you cannot see the person driving, that is also a variance that is also considered as well to analyze it kind of in a third way. And a last way is demographic within the neighborhood. So for instance, on a particular zip code, we can look to see on the residents in that area if, let's say, for example, the neighborhood has a high density of Asian American people. Let's say it's 50% in that neighborhood. If we do a stop there or we go to a call for service there, it might explain why in that specific zip code or neighborhood there is a disparity or there is not a disparity. So there's a lot more work to be done, and we are in the very beginning stages of this analysis. And so to really understand what we're looking at, that's really going to inform how we're going to deal with any kind of action-oriented items to try to see if we can change the outcomes that we're seeing. So hopefully that answers your question.
It does, and I wonder, do other cities look at other ways of cutting the data apart, or I want to make sure that we're not trying to justify our answers versus what the data is really telling us. So do other cities digest and chop apart their data as well?
They do. So those benchmarks that I had mentioned, those are, if you do a search, they'll come up with the 5 main kind of benchmarking that is typically done when we're analyzing this type of data.
Right.
So we're not kind of abstractly just picking something arbitrary to try to benchmark, but the demographic data just citywide may not be the best benchmark, but that's our starting point. So that's really what we're working on right now. And then as we evolve the program and get a little bit more analytics, or maybe get better programming to really do data analysis, it would give us a lot more insight on how we can improve our operations.
Yeah, and I can see where that would be valuable. I want to be clear that we're able to benchmark ourselves against other cities, because if you don't have standardized ways of pulling that data or measuring that data, you can't measure against other cities unless they're doing it the same way you are. So I want to make sure that we're following national standards and that we're doing what other cities are doing, so that we're able to benchmark to see whether there's a problem or there's not a problem.
That's our intent, and we're not comparing with other cities. We're looking at our own specific data. So we're not using other cities' information. We're using our detention data. We're using our population data. We're using our collision data. So it's going to be a direct comparison.
But you don't know whether you're high or low unless you look at other cities to determine whether you're an outlier versus the other cities. So, yeah.
Well, we don't know. Yeah, we don't know what their population.
We have to
This
keep
is my time for comments.
Yeah, we just have
thank
to
you.
stick to the folks that are mic'd.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you're absolutely right. So
Yeah.
we don't know what their population is as well. We don't know what their level of traffic safety is, for example. So in our city, there's a high traffic safety problem, auto pedestrian fatalities, speeding. So there is a demand for our traffic enforcement efforts. So as we look, we can even look at corridors. So as traffic stops are happening up and down a main corridor, we're going to see different data sets. And that's unique to our city, as it is every city. So yes, we will compare.
Okay, thank you.
We've gone once through the city council. We do need to continue. I see Councilmember Letaju. We can continue this item after the action calendar if we want. If you have something extremely short, if you go though, it's going to start a second round for the whole council.
It's just
So go
building
ahead.
on what Councilmember Ginter said. So as it relates to benchmarking, and I do understand this piece is new, but traditionally, what cities are we alike that we can consider benchmarking against? And you might not have an answer today, but I'd like for you to consider that, so that when we are doing reporting, we can show what other cities we're like and what does that look like. And then I don't know from a national perspective what national data is available as well, where here are the 5 cities that we can benchmark that we're very similar to, and then here's the national data as well. And then on top of that, break it down just a little further, that when you look at, I don't remember what page it is, but you saw the ethnicity, that demographic information, then also showing that the different, whether we do it by race, age, whatever the case may be, what does that look like nationally and against any cities that we're benchmarking against? And over time, as we go from month to month, or if we do it on a quarterly basis, how do our numbers look and how are they changing? And then finally, I know we have the DOJ committee, but I'm on the safety committee. It would, I'd like, and I will do it at our safety committee, I'd like to then put this on our agenda to look at periodically. And I know that we've talked about this, Chief Tom. So thank you.
All right, I'll say one more thing that I missed earlier, and then I'm going to close this out on this item, and we'll head into a short recess. I will also note, I mentioned earlier that time passing is an accountability. One of the reasons why I said that is that there's, in just the past few weeks, there have been a couple of incidents that really concern me that I've expressed to staff, and that I expect that we'll follow up on, because, you know, there's a lot of implication that is, if enough time passes, that things are in the past. And there was an incident recently where, or a news story recently where the city of Vallejo lost a, I guess, litigation it was a PRA lawsuit of the body cam footage of an officer involved shooting last year. And a judge ordered the city to release additional body cam footage. That type of news coming out, that's the same old, same old. That's not rebuilding trust. That's something that we've got to address. How that was able to have happened, where we again ended up in litigation, blocking transparency, but for a judge. And then the second piece is that there was the high-speed chase that was mentioned by some of the speakers, in which someone's private surveillance someone's private surveillance camera contradicted the information that the city had put out, and that needs to be reconciled. So these are very current things that are happening in real time, and things that I am going to be expecting some follow-up on, in addition to the RIPA data and the stuff that was reported. So I will close the item. We will be following up on this. I have obviously a lot more to say, but I'll leave it there. I again want to thank everybody that came out, because these are really difficult conversations to have for everybody, but nothing is ever going to compare to the courage and strength that it takes for someone to come to a meeting like this, having lost a loved one, and have to relive that trauma and speak before us. And I just want to thank you all, and again, just express how much I admire the courage and strength of these families, and how grateful I am for you coming out tonight and sharing with us. So we'll take a short recess. I'll say 5, it'll be 10. We'll come back at 9:10. All right, everyone, we're going to come back. As soon as I have 4 people at this dais, we're going to start again.
Yeah. Apologize. Everybody kept talking to me.
We got, well,
Alex, we need you. Alex. Alex, we need you.
all right, we are reassembling. I'm going to go ahead and move us towards coming back to order. We're all good. Our audience will need to bring it back down so we can move on with our agenda. We'll come back to order, and just to recap for anyone just joining, we reordered the agenda. We took item 8A, which was our information item first. We are now coming back to the consent calendar, which we already approved, minus 2 items. The first item that was pulled was previously consent item 6D. Adopt a resolution approving the second amendment to the consultant and professional services agreement with Ghirardelli and Associates to increase the contract by $3.5 million to not exceed $5 million. So this is now item 6.1, and I'll turn it over to Councilmember Bergenzer, who pulled the item.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, and thank you. I don't need a whole presentation. I just want to quickly, for transparency's sakes, you're more than doubling the contract with this amendment. So I just want to know if you can give just a quick highlight of what happened and why we're doubling the contract in a consent item.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Council Member. And so this contract is for supplemental help for engineering. And so we have a staff of 3 engineers, not counting the deputy director and myself. And so we're really short-staffed. And so this really helps us fill out that need. And then on top of that, much of this will go through new development. And so for instance, Northgate, the Costco facility, the review of all of those plans is being done by Ghirardelli. And so it's really just a pass-through that, the developer pays us, we pay Ghirardelli, and it's not really the city's money we're spending, it's the developers. And so it's just that there are so many projects ongoing, and so they're helping us with Measure P paving, with the 17 intersection improvements, Spring Road pavement, South Regatta Drive, and Capitol Street Mill and Overlay, Hidden Brook Overpass improvements. So just so many projects we have going on right now. 17 projects are expected to go to construction between now and next year. There also are field inspectors on much of that as well.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm not seeing any other questions or comments from council. We already took public comment on our consent calendar, but since it's been a minute, if anybody in the audience wants to speak, I'm not seeing anyone. Do we have anyone online with their hand raised?
No speakers on this item at this time,
All
Mayor.
right, with that, we're going to be ready for a motion on the item.
Yes, Mayor. I move that we adopt a resolution approving the second amendment to the consultant and professional services agreement with Ghirardelli and Associates Incorporated to increase the contract amount by $3,500,000 to a not to exceed limit of $5 million, and authorizing the city manager to execute the same.
All right, and we are ready to vote, and I believe we're doing roll call votes.
Yes, we are. Vice Mayor Matulik.
Aye.
Councilmember Begenzer.
Aye.
Okay. Councilmember Palmares.
Aye.
What happened? We're missing people.
You have a quorum.
I'm a yes.
Yes, Mayor Source. Okay. So you
All
have
right,
a quorum.
if anybody else is in the building that wants to vote on the council, otherwise we'll say it passes 4-0. Thank you. Motion carries unanimously with 3 council members presumably right in the back. In the restroom, yeah. Okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and we're just going to pause for a second, and we're here. That'll bring us to our next item, which was previously item 6I, now 6.2, adopt a resolution approving the First Amendment to the services agreement with Healthy Vallejo Community Support Services for an additional $100,000, authorizing the city manager to execute the same. I'll turn it over to Councilmember Ledeju, who pulled the item.
So staff are quite aware of my questions, and I just would like my questions answered. Thank you.
Sure. We were able to speak with the staff that worked on this. I believe one of the questions was how did we go about choosing the vendor that was going to be doing the art portion. We're currently looking at sole source for that option. We've we have a very limited time frame to take this grant and complete it, as well as the specialized nature of the activities. So we're trying to see if we can work with the city attorney's office to sole source this. If not, we could always do an RFP. We just have to do a rather quick one because we have about a year to expend these funds.
So I have a question. When we wrote, so it goes back to my question again. When we wrote this grant, I understand that it's an extension to what we were doing with Healthy Vallejo. So that's not my question. Now you're telling me, oh, we're going to do a sole source, but we wrote this grant knowing that there was another portion that would be required. So why are we doing a sole source, and why are we saying, oh, we only have limited time, when in fact we understood what we were writing the grant for? And I would like to know, is it really true that, because when we say sole source, that means that there is no one else who holds that specialty. So how can this be sole source?
So thank you, Dr. Ledger, for the question. So we had an original agreement we had an original grant with this with Healthy Vallejo. This is an extension. So
Yes.
right. So as we explained last time. The workforce development part was something that they really enjoyed, and so they offered us additional funding to extend that. So that's why we have that contract extension part. There was another component to this particular grant that involves, I believe, doing murals. And so this particular vendor, I'm sorry, I can't recall their name, Local Edition Creative, is one that I believe the city has actually contracted with before and is actually familiar with their work. And I think because the performance period of this grant is 1 year, the individuals who worked on this proposal identified them as a possible partner in terms of doing that portion of the work. Now, it's only, I would say, sort of unique services because of, I believe, the artist that they partner with was something that was in line with, I think, the purpose of the grant. I don't know that they are the only ones.
Okay, so
who can
I'm going
do
to
that.
stop.
So
Hold on. No, I'm going to stop you guys right there. So this is really important to me when we talk about sole source. I would rather just say we've chosen this vendor for whatever the reasons are versus saying it's a sole source. There are very certain parameters around what sole source means. I work in government too, and I've had to work with an attorney to sole source, and they are particularly generally the only ones who can do that. And so that's important to me. And the other thing is, we have other artists in our community who do murals. I can point out a couple who've worked on murals in our city. So we really need to be careful how we are letting out contracts and that we're ensuring that they're equitable. And that's the point that I'm making here, more importantly than anything.
So the city manager wanted to get in.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council Member Ledger. I concur with you. Unless you work for NASA or DOD, you're going to almost never run into a true, pure sole source scenario for the very reason, okay? It's like the last method. So what I believe staff was really trying to say is that we will be looking at our procurement rules and regulations for an expedited way of procuring this additional service. It won't be a sole source. It'll be something pursuant to, a procurement process of some sort. It will just be an expedited methodology.
I can live with that, and I appreciate that. And again, I continue to say to us as a city that we have to do things in an equitable way that's defensible And yes, you have a year and some change to spend these dollars, but the fact of the matter is, you wrote this grant. Out of the exception of Healthy Vallejo, there's another piece in here. And I want to see an appropriate procurement, even if it has to be expedited. And those are my last words.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Vice Mayor.
Thank you, and I understand where Councilmember Letterju is getting to this from an equitable standpoint, and I think that goes to the fact of this. When you mention expedited, that means that we're in a rush. We need to get it done in a hurry, to where it seems like there was a time factor that maybe we didn't account to getting this completed and going through the full due diligence. Let's just put it that for terminology's sake. And so, and I want to make sure that from that standpoint, that it is from an equitable standpoint, it sounds like everything should be going through an RFP process to where it's out there in the community, so that everybody has an understanding of what's out there, what's being asked, for those that are able to and have that skill set to do that they're able to apply. But I want to make sure that we're clear here is that the fact that Healthy Vallejo is limited here, I want to make sure that they're not getting bad named on this, like they're at fault here, for the sole fact, because for those that know this community and know Healthy Vallejo specifically, they are hustlers and shakers, to where they know this process, they know how to go about getting these grants. So I want to make sure that they are not getting singled out like they did something wrong, because they absolutely did not. But I think, once again, I think it goes back to us as our process, as Councilmember Letterju pointed out, is that when we go out for grants like this, that we make sure that we're spending the time properly to get it out to the community and get it out to the full community, to make it equitable for everybody out there. So thank you.
And my understanding, for clarification, was that Councilmember Letterju wasn't referring to the Healthy Vallejo portion, but to the artist portion of it. Because
Thank
Healthy
you, Mayor.
Vallejo did come through an RFP, and I know the city manager had something to add as well.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate that no sole sources. I hate sole sources. I stay away from them. What I believe staff was attempting to say is that we will identify a competitive procurement method that fits this, and in any event, it will end up coming back to you anyway, in that I believe it's at the $100,000 threshold, or it is
No,
not?
it's below the $100,000
Okay,
threshold.
so that's fine.
And so it is under an expedited timeline. So we thought that we could do an update through the city manager's report sometime
Yeah,
in
yeah,
September,
yeah.
because we're hoping to do whatever that process is.
Yeah, and we
competitive
can.
process,
We can.
and have it
Yeah.
done by
Yeah,
September.
yeah. So we have multiple competitive methods that we have at our disposal. So we should never, ever have to do a sole source, unless the world is coming to an end and it's truly a sole source situation. That's it.
Councilmember Letterju, did you have one more thing?
I'm going to clarify this, and I thank the mayor for saying this, and I'm going to be really transparent on this dais. And I did have a conversation with Apostle Summers, who runs Healthy Vallejo. For everyone's knowledge and understanding, this is not about Healthy Vallejo. This is about a process and being transparent. We talk about being accountable, we talk about transparency, and this is what my questions are around that criteria and understanding, and so community understands that we are doing things fair and equitable, and here these things are available to anyone who holds those abilities, those skills, and that knowledge to do this work, and us being very clear about it. So that is what my question is about, our questions are about. And my challenge of a sole source is just like the city manager stated. It is rare that you have sole source. I have done them, and they're very rare. And so I just want to make sure, how are we handling our processes? And I understand that there are times that we get into time crunches, but it still does not mean that we can't figure out a way, just as was stated. So thank you. I'm more than happy to receive this as a council member in your report and for you to move forward. I just want a competitive process.
All right, Councilmember Gordon, and then we'll look for a motion.
Thank you very much. Who is the artist to why this is a concern? And Just out of curiosity.
So the company was Local Edition Creative, and it was a company that was identified that does public art integration and murals that the city had worked with before. So the city did not issue a sole source. The idea was they were going to look into that and work and talk to the city attorney to see if it qualified. If it didn't, then we'd have to go through a expedited procurement process because we have a limited performance period. So this vendor was one that the grant writers had identified as someone that believes that they could fit the grant criteria.
Thank you.
It's a beautification piece of the workforce development side that Healthy Vallejo is implementing.
And thank you for, I'm going to be transparent, thank you for clarifying about this was not about Healthy Vallejo, because that's what I thought I heard. So I'm glad that that was clarified, because Healthy Vallejo is someone who, as long as I can think of, have been excellent, show up, and not only show up, but quality show up at any time for anyone, and I'm grateful for it. Not only that, but the mission that it stands for, and not only do they show up that way, but they show up in academic, because it was shared that they are learning about what investments are, banking, real estate, you name it. It's not just one component, but I just want to say thank you for the work that you did throughout the city of Vallejo, but particularly South Vallejo. We are still getting compliment to this day for the work that you've done. And so I just want to give you a clap. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to get us a motion on this item. Actually, I'll see if there's any public comment on it. I think Postal Summers, we'll give you a couple minutes to make a comment. And then if there's anyone online, we can take them as well.
Well, good evening, Madam Mayor, Mr. City Manager, City Attorney, all of you on the dais. Thank you. And again, I'm thankful that this has arisen tonight. And again, that is not about Healthy Vallejo, but process. But in talking with the city manager and just wanting some of you to know who we are, we got approval just to see a couple of minutes. Is that still okay? Of the video, if it's not too late, and if so, I can. If it's too late,
Okay,
then.
I've got 7 bosses up here. I'm going to defer to the mayor. He has a very short video that he would like to share that introduces the program.
How long is it?
Well, again, we just asked to show just about 4 minutes of the video.
Can we do the first couple minutes? We
Yeah,
just still got 4
because-
action items and it's 9:30. We do
Right.
want to see it, but we're prepared to approve the item and we're ready to go.
Right.
We can take
And,
maybe
and the
first
reason
couple
why I am saying this too, because these young people here that have come to be a part of this council, because they are citizens, because we heard about young people getting killed and shot, even by police. We know, I often quote Father Gregory Boyle of Homeboy Industries, who said, listen, nothing beats a bullet like a job. Yeah, yeah. And so these are some amazing young people who, and yeah, you ought to clap for them and give them a hand for what they're doing, the beautification that they bring. And so we're blessed. And so if you will allow us just for a couple of minutes, and then I'll get out of the way.
Yeah, if we can pull it up. That's that's fine.
Thank you, Manny. If you thank you, guys. I always wanted to make an impact on young people as well as on our city.
It's not even about the money for me. It's just the environment, how positive and uplifting the energy is from working at Healthy Vallejo.
Being here in the city of Vallejo, working with Healthy Vallejo, gives me a direct opportunity to work with young people who need the help that we have to offer, the jobs, the employment, the resume building, the character development. All of those things go into play. It's not just a job where we hire people, but as they are hired, this is a full character development for the interns.
Not only do the youth at Healthy Vallejo Community Support Services get really valuable experiences with mentorship and life skills, but they also get to see their neighborhoods and the places that they live, that I live, that many people that work for the city live, be able to be beautified and look so much nicer and provide a service to people that may not otherwise be able to keep their homes upkept or be fined by our code enforcement.
When I first came to Healthy Vallejo, it meant a lot to me because when I was applying for jobs, I couldn't really find jobs, and Healthy Vallejo opened the door to me, so it gave me a chance. I appreciate that.
Healthy Vallejo was a vision that we had to help this community called the Country Club Crest to be improved and to make life better for young people as well as for senior citizens. Coming off of COVID-19 in December 2020, we were able to survive into 2021, where we launched Healthy Vallejo.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So if you have a brief closing remark, go ahead.
I just wanted to let you guys know. Sunday was our anniversary.
Give us 1 second. We're going to get rid of that echo. Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
You're good. Go ahead.
The feedback. I just wanted to let you know, Sunday, we celebrated our 5th year anniversary of Healthy Vallejo. We've employed over 120 young people. We've picked up over 1,120,000 pounds of trash and debris from this city. And we just want to let you know, we thank you for standing with us and for your continued and ongoing support. God bless you.
Thank you very much. All right, and just to wrap the whole conversation up, not only do we appreciate the work of Healthy Vallejo, but I will reiterate that that contract was granted through a competitive RFP process, and they earned it. So with that, we will move to a motion on the item.
Yes, Mayor. I move we adopt a resolution approving the First Amendment to the services agreement with Healthy Vallejo Community Support Services Incorporated for an additional $100,000 and authorizing the city manager to execute the same.
All right, and we're going to do a roll call vote.
Councilmember Bergenzer,
Yes.
Gordon,
Yes.
Lediju, Matias,
Yes.
Palmeras,
Aye.
Mayor Source,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Matulek.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
All right, thank you all. We're going to move on now to our action calendar. I'm hoping there were no speakers online. If anybody does have their hands raised, I forgot to ask. All right, thankfully there were not. We are going to move to our action calendar starting with 7A. I'll ask the clerk to announce this item.
Adopt a resolution making appointments to various commissions. So this evening before you, you have the following appointments. You have 3 vacancies to the Beautification Commission and only 2 applicants. The Economic Development Commission, there are 4 vacancies and a number of applicants. The Human Relations Commission, 1 vacancy with 2 applicants. McEwen Collection Commission, 3 vacancies with 3 applicants. And then the Planning Commission with 6 applicants. You have 2 vacancies.
All right, thank you. So what I'm going to do is I'll outline the process that I want to us to use, which is going to be the same process we did the last time we did appointments, and we'll let the speaker time roll for a little bit longer, and then we'll see if we have any public commenters. I will make a statement, which I think I can probably make on behalf of the council, that once again we had tremendous applicants for these positions, and we are so grateful for everyone who has stepped up to serve the city. We need your energy and expertise and talents, and we are so grateful that you took the time to fill out the application and interview with our peers of council members that conducted the interviews. And a couple of these are going to be really tough. So let's see if we have public commenters first. And what I'll do then, we'll close the public comment. Doesn't look like we have anybody. What we will do is we will go through the commissions one by one as they are listed on the agenda, and I will ask the liaison and the pair that did the interviews to offer any comments or remarks first and then make their selections first. And then we will go down, starting with whoever it is, we'll just go down the row of the dais. and the commissions Beautification and McCune, in which we had fewer applicants than spaces open. If there are no concerns about those applicants, we can just go ahead and approve those. So I'm looking and I'm seeing nods if there's no concerns. So that's going to bring us, we're going to have economic development, followed by human relations, followed by planning. For
Mayor?
economic development, go ahead, Dawn.
I need you to be clear in your appointments for Beautification
Oh,
and McCune
I-
because they're different term limits.
And I will also state that what I think we're going to do, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, City Clerk, is we will do all of our votes for all of them, and then we will do one overarching motion and vote to do all of the appointments together. I believe is how we've done it in the past.
Yeah,
So
we
with
did
that, I'll state all those at the end. The Beautification Commission, we have 2 terms to expire 6/30/30 and 1 to expire in 2028. I would recommend that we just appoint both of the applicants to the terms that end in 2030, the longer appointments. So that's Clinton Dunbar and Vanessa Torre. For Economic Development Commission, we have 3 terms to expire in 2030 and 1 term to expire at the end of June 2027. And we had 9 applicants and 4 vacancies. I'm going to turn it over to Councilmember Matias, who I know does not want to have to choose between these outstanding applicants, but I'm going to turn it over to him. And then we'll go to the vice mayor because the 2 of them did the interviews.
Thank you, Mayor. This is getting really tough every single time we have to make appointments. I just do want to make 3 quick comments to our new city manager, and I shared this with you earlier. This commission has a substantial amount of experience. If you see each of the folks that are getting appointed, they can serve the city, not just lending their expertise, but also helping inform a lot of the conversations we need to have around our strategic plan and its implementation, and some of the other conversations we're having across the city around the downtown and Mare Island and the fairgrounds and all the other things in the business corridor. So we just want to see there be some emphasis as part of your tenure to really engage our commissions and tap into the experience that they have across the Bay Area and from across the country. They're a pretty impressive group. The second point, I'm making this the council accountability meeting, is that, for the better part of 18 months, some of the commissions that I serve as a liaison have actually produced work product for us. And they're in this low area where the work hasn't made itself to the agenda, and they're waiting to hear back from us. So I would really love for us to have one meeting where we, look at some of their deliverables so far, and we can engage and have that help inform other conversations we're having as a council. And with that, so I talked about the experience, and I talked about us agendizing commission items. The 4 folks that I am recommending for appointment are the following, and again, thanks to everyone who applied. So Miss Williams, who's a current commissioner to the 27 term, and then Tanish Hollins, Jessica Martinez, thank you, council member, Jessica Martinez, and Tiffany Tatum. Those are the 4.
All right, thank you. And my plan was going to be to give the 3 longer terms, the ones that get the most votes, but I'll take that recommendation and we'll see how things go. But we'll take that and we'll see how things go. I'll go over to the vice mayor, who was also in the interviews.
Yes, and teaming up with Councilmember Matias for the numerous interviews. Oh, Councilmember Matias, you had something else you wanted to add?
Oh, no, I see 3. So Williams, Tatum, Martinez, that may be a misspell. It says Marintes.
That should be Martinez.
And
then Hollins.
Yes. Okay. And to continue on, teaming up with Councilmember Matias for the numerous interviews and applications we went through, I mean, I can't tell you how difficult of time, and that speaks to the quality of applicants that we had, and I think I can speak on behalf of Councilmember Martinez and I think we go out of our way not only from being as engaged with the councils that or the commissions and boards that we're on, but we actually go out there and try to actually recruit. We're actually going out in the community, encouraging people to apply for these because the biggest thing that I know we hear as council members is people's voices aren't being heard. And this is our way of telling them that this is where your voice can be heard, and this is where you can engage in our civic engagement of the process and being a voice to the city council. So with that being said, the 4 that I will be voting for are Kira Williams, Jessica Martinez, Tanish Hollins, and Khwaja Abdullah.
All right, I said we'd go down the dais, so I'll go next. I will defer. This is really tough. I will go with the 4 that Councilmember Matias selected: Hollins, Martinez, Williams, and Tatum. Councilmember Ledesju.
The same.
Councilmember Bergenser.
I will go with Hagstrom, Martinez, Tatum, and Williams.
Councilmember Palmares.
Ms. Martinez, Mr. Levine, Mr. McLafferty, and Ms. Williams.
And Councilmember Gordon.
Thank you, Dawn, for posting the video of the interviews. I would have to say this was very hard to pick. I'm just so proud of Vallejo for stepping up and bringing their expertise from their volunteer and their professional world. And I am in between one, but I have to say I was very impressed with everyone, and I'm going to agree with Councilman Matias, because the selections that he picked, and especially Ms. Williams, who have come to the table and brought wonderful changes. So I'm going to agree with him as well. Do I need to repeat them, Dawn?
No, I'm tallying right now. I have, if we do the method that I mentioned with the highest votes going the longer terms, the 2030 terms would go to Ms. Williams, Ms. Tatum, and Ms. Martinez, followed by Ms. Hollins for the, nope, just kidding.
Wait, let me just read it out just to be safe, because I'm kind of confused. No, let me read it out like everyone else did. I wanted Ms. Hollins, Ms. Martinez, Ms. Tatum, and Ms. Williams.
We got it. So we have clear 4. It's going to be Ms. Williams, Ms. Tatum, Ms. Martinez, and Ms. Hollins. And we have to select the short, who will get the shorter term and who will get the longer term. There is not a clear tie break. Councilmember Matias, was your reason for recommending Ms. Williams for the shorter term just because she's an incumbent and the others would get a full term?
I talked to my commissioners.
Okay. Do you want, I would defer to you since we have a tie.
Yes.
Do we want to do that? So if everybody's okay with that, we'll do the 3 new commissioners will get the full 4-year term to 2030, and we'll do Kira Williams for the term through June 27, which of course would not preclude her from reapplying at that point.
Not at all.
As well.
Yep.
Let's do that. All right, that is going to move us to Human Relations Commission. We have 1 vacancy and 2 applicants. I believe Councilmembers Matias and Vice Mayor Matulik also did these interviews, so I will turn it over to, I believe it's the Vice Mayor who's the liaison.
Yes, and once again, to reiterate, this was a very difficult choice. Even though we had only 2 applicants on this one, it was a very, very tough choice and a very tough interviews. And once again, from a transparency standpoint, for those out in the community, we go through the applications and read those very thoroughly, and then we go through the interview process. And so we take that as a combination of how we get to a point. But part of the X factor is understanding our own commissions. We try to identify who may or may not be a better fit with our current commissioners, and that's always a tough call, to where typically the council member that is the liaison tries to do his or her best to identify who that person is, and not every time they get it right. But once again, this is doing an opportunity for those that are applying, that do show the passion to have their voice and showing a commitment. And so with that being said, my choice here would be Nancy Piotrowski.
All right, and I will go back over to Councilmember Matias, who's also in on those interviews.
Yeah, this is probably the toughest one. But so nothing. I can't disagree with anything you've said, but I'm gonna have to go with a different choice. So mine will go for Miss Lourdes Muldray, who's getting involved. New resident that wants to get involved and has good experience to contribute.
Yep. All right, we're gonna go down the line. Councilmember Palmares,
Ms. Muldray.
Councilmember Gordon,
Miss Marjorie, and pronounce her last name for me. A-L-I.
yeah, I think you're looking at the wrong one.
Oh, Penny, right?
We're doing
No.
human relations right now.
Relations.
Sorry, that was on the top. I would go Miss Marjorie. Thank you.
Well, I was hoping that you both would agree, because I was really about to flip a coin. I'm going to do the same tiebreaker that Councilmember Matias did and just get new folks involved. This is impossible. I'll go with Ms. Muldray. Councilmember Ledeju.
The first candidate.
Ms.
And Councilmember Bergenser.
Ms. Muldray.
All right. So we will vote in Ms. Muldray to the Human Relations Commission. I did look online. There are 2 more vacancies next year, so we will hopefully be able to do this again and get both of you on that commission. We've done that before with other commissions. So thanks to our applicants. All right, for McCune Commission, we are going to go ahead and appoint the folks that are here. I would suggest that we do a randomized term length, some type of randomized process for the term lengths, unless anyone has a better option. Who is the liaison to McCune? Is it Councilmember Palmares? Yeah. Do you have any suggestion? Do you have a suggestion for the term lengths, or do you want to recommend different people for different term lengths, or you want us to do a randomized draw?
Yeah, randomized. It's too hard. Yeah.
Can someone put just a random number generator and do a randomized process? Can we do that after the fact, or do we have to do the nomination now?
Pick the number I've got.
I guess if I can maybe.
Can we go in the same vein and let the new people have the longer terms and the people that have been here the longest?
Yeah, why don't we do that?
Do a shorter term?
All right, let's do Beecher to the 2027 term, unless Councilmember Palmares, did you have an idea?
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes
Okay,
sense. Yeah.
so we'll do Mr. Beecher to the 2027 term, and then Booth and Lorenz, let's flip a coin. Does anyone have a coin? I will flip a business card. Do it alphabetical? We'll give.
Here, I can just I can put their last names on a sticky and then someone can draw it. How's that?
This is just. Okay, Dawn's gonna do a randomized. All right, we're gonna pull for the 2030 term.
Okay, here.
This is very, very serious scientific. This actually does have
The city
scientific.
manager do it.
It has scientific integrity, just for the record.
Okay, pull one.
We're pulling for the 2030 term. Lorenz is going to do 2030. Beecher's gonna take 2028, and, oh, no, sorry, Booth's gonna take 2028, and Beecher's gonna be 2027. All right, that's gonna bring us to Planning Commission, another tough one. And we have 2 vacancies and 6 applicants, and I will go over to the vice mayor for selections.
Just to be a broken record here, I'm very tough decisions here. Out of the 6 applicants, they were all very difficult and very well qualified for this. And I just want to clarify for the terms, it says 6/30/20. I'm assuming that's 6/30/30.
That is correct.
Okay,
That
thank
is
you.
my
Thanks for that
error.
clarification. And so with that being said, the 2 individuals I am picking are David Ennis and Darrell Ali.
All right, I'll go back over to Councilmember Matias. You all were in all the interviews.
Yeah, no, I agree with the vice mayor on both.
All right, Councilmember Palmares.
Ms. Ali and Mr. Ennis.
Okay, Councilmember Gordon.
Miss Ali and Marjorie. Marjorie, sorry about that.
Okay.
Please forgive me.
I will do Ali and Ennis as well. Councilmember Lettichu. Okay, that was Ali and Ennis. Councilmember Bergenser.
The same, Ali and Ennis.
All right. Do we want to? We have again. This was another
I'd like
really
to change my
stacked
vote.
group.
I agree with everyone else.
Okay. Why don't we give Miss Ali with the original count? We can give Miss Ali the 2030 term and Mr. Ennis the 2028 term, since it was kind of 7 and 6.5 votes.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Unless anyone objects, I will make that motion for the appointments of Clinton Dunbar and Vanessa Torrey to Beautification Commission for terms expiring in 2030. Kira Williams, Tiffany Tatum, and Jessica Martinez to, Tiffany Tatum, Jessica Martinez, and Tanish Hollins to the Economic Development Commission for terms ending in 2030. Kira Williams to the Economic Development Commission for term ending in 2027. Lourdes Moldre for the Human Relations Commission term ending in 2030. McCune, Gian Lorenz for the term ending in 2030. Kelly Booth for the term ending in 28. Henry Beecher for the term ending in 27. And to the Planning Commission, Darrell Ali for the term ending in 2030. And David Ennis for the term ending in 28. And we can do a roll call vote. Thank you again to all of the applicants. To adopt the resolution with what I just said.
Councilmember Gordon.
Through the chair, just for quick clarification. What if they have these meetings and they say, oh, I wanted the 28? Could they be able to change that if they?
That's on us.
They could just end their term early if they wanted to end their term early. We're going to appoint them to the terms
Okay,
that
just
we
want to
select.
clarify that, just in
All
case
right.
that's a question. Thank you.
Councilmember Gordon.
Aye.
Lettichu. Matias.
Yes.
Palmares.
Aye.
Mayor Source.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Matulik.
Aye.
Councilmember Bergenser.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
All right, thank you. Thank you to everyone again. I have a question for the city manager. I am going to try to power us through this whole agenda, but I have an understanding that item C is the most important. Would you like to take that one first, or do you want to go ahead and do the ADU ordinance and then
Let's do C first.
We'll do C first. All right, so we are going to switch the order just a little bit in the interest of time and take item 7C, and I'll ask the city clerk to announce that item.
Adopt a resolution approving the acceptance of a quitclaim deed for the Navy's production manufacturing area Mare Island parcel and authorizing the city manager to execute same.
All right, thank you. We're going to open up public comment on this item. And while that timer runs and folks can raise their hands, we will turn it over to our staff for a presentation.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council members. We have a short video, but I'm thinking because of timing, we should probably. I see the city manager's face. We'll bypass
we can post
that
a
video.
link. We can post a link to it if possible.
Okay.
Maybe that would be a good compromise.
Okay, we'll do that. We have a presentation. Do we want to see that, or would you like for us to do a quick? Okay, so we're going to do just a verbal, quick walkthrough of the item.
Oh, so no presentation?
No presentation. I mean, I have it if you.
I have it.
Yeah.
Good evening, Erin Hanfords. You guys know me, Economic Development Program Manager for Mare Island. So we're not going through the presentation at all? Haven't done
Very
this
briefly,
before.
we're not going to show it, so we're going to kind of skip through and just set quick context of the item. And
Would it be okay if we just do the presentation real quick to just have an image so we can talk from the image?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you guys could just show the.
Yeah, here we go.
Thank you. I just wanted to have this image. We're here tonight to talk about the PMA housing. It's a property that the Navy is asking the city to take ownership of. Our agreements with the Navy anticipated that we would take ownership on quite a lot of the property that they have remaining on Mare Island. This is the first one in over 10 or 15 years. It's right adjacent to the cemetery on Mare Island, for those of you who've been to the cemetery. It's about 14 acres, has 6 beautiful historic homes built in the late 1800s and early 1900s. The city has done a lot of due diligence to understand the implications of taking ownership of this property in terms of environmental assessment. No surprises there. The buildings have lead and asbestos. We did a condition assessment from Public Works, and we can go through the numbers. Should I go through those numbers now?
Yeah, so just a couple things to note that they have very limited uses at this time. We could potentially have ongoing conversations about changing that, but for right now, we're somewhat limited. They don't necessarily pencil out at this moment, but we are continuing to work on that. But in the meantime, when we take possession, there is a cost associated with that. So Erin will run through the numbers briefly.
In terms of, the first thing we looked at was holding costs, because it'll take us a time to get the monies to do the restoration of the homes. And as Nalingo pointed out, right now our agreements restrict it, so we can't use it as residential except for caretaker housing, but we're going to work on that. The holding costs from the Public Works Department in year one, we do an initial about $180,000 cleanup costs, meaning getting the site prepared to be held, boarding it up, stabilizing, patching, lighting, that kind of thing. And then they anticipate about $250,000 per year. Therefore, going forward, most of that is security, having patrols on site. The city did apply for a grant for about $750,000. If we were to get that grant, which we'll know at the end of this calendar year, we were anticipating using that to bring electricity to the site, because right now we don't have any, and maybe doing some outside exterior repairs to I think it's 845, which is the oldest and most historic building on the entire island. And in terms of going forward, rehabbing restoring the buildings, Public Works estimated that to be a little bit over $10 million. I know that's a big number, but we would have time if we can do it in phases, and that's something we'll take a look at, provided once we find out if we get that grant. We're going to continue to also look for new grant opportunities. And that's pretty much the funding side of it.
Yeah, and I would also say, just to tack on that, because that number is very scary, is that, depending on the uses that we're able to negotiate for this property, that could potentially pencil out for any future uses that we have at that site.
Let's see, what else should we hit?
I think that's it, unless you guys have any questions. I think maybe City Manager Black wants to weigh in briefly.
Yeah, go ahead, City Manager.
No, thanks for a great presentation. This is something that we're, what?
It was the great presentation.
No, I just want to be very transparent, particularly in light of our budget situation. This is the first of several of these types of things that are going to be coming to you. And as I say before, we're really in a quasi-developer mode as a city government. And this is the risk that developers take. They have to upfront money. But typically they have it. I'm being transparent because we need to do this tonight But it's important for everybody to understand that once we do this, we're going to take on carrying costs. Okay? And so the next items that we bring, the carrying costs will be even greater. So, so that nobody gets amnesia. Okay? I'm just saying. This particular item, I think, is an easy one to go forward with. Yeah, that's it. I just wanted to share that with you, just so that we know this one is the easy one, but there'll be some coming. Okay? That's it. But we do need to do this.
Yep. Thank you. All right. What I'm going to do is take public comment in person and online, and then I will turn it over to council questions and comments. Do we have anyone in person? Do we have anyone online?
Through the mayor, we do not have anyone signed up for
All
or
right.
has raised their hand on Zoom.
I see Councilmember Gordon, and we will keep our questions to this particular parcel. Go ahead, Council.
It's not my fault that he doesn't have where he can read my brain. My question, when you said that, my whole head, what do you mean carrying costs? Just to elaborate, please.
Well, I'll let the team reiterate what the carrying costs are likely to be.
It's all in the numbers, right?
Yeah.
So our public works staff went out and assessed the buildings. These are soft estimates. They're going to need to come back and get more formal bids. They might be a little high. We might choose not to do all the things that are in these bids, but the holding costs have two components. One is first month, what do we need to do? And David Morton, bless his heart, put this together for us for this presentation, so I really appreciate it in Public Works. The initial, first month, it was about $180,000. Again, we can go through the detail if this is passed, and we can probably get that down a little bit. And then thereafter, it's about roughly $21,000 a month, to make it more simple.
And that's primarily for security
Right.
purposes, to secure the site.
I am not seeing other questions and comments from council. Again, this is something that will be coming back. This is these types of items will be continuing to come back. This is part of the Mare Island transfer.
This will be the lightest.
This will be the lightest one. There you go. So we will have more opportunities to delve into this. And I was going to call for a motion, but I see Councilmember Letajou.
Just really quick. How have we budgeted for these funds?
We're not. I mean, so in essence, when you make this decision tonight, then we will have to go out and figure out where we're going to find the money.
So we don't, that's a fair statement, but
Yeah.
I'm sure that you just didn't put these numbers together and had no thoughts about potentially where you might get some of the funds.
Yeah.
So
So
talk to me a little bit about that.
So how to say this?
And it
we
doesn't
can
need-
we can cobble them together, and I mean that there will be other items coming before you to divest potentially of extra city-owned property that we can potentially sell. There's agreements that we're working on. We expect to get some funding from that, and so I don't know. I don't want to put a rough estimate to it, but it can offset these costs.
Yeah.
And we're going to try to do that same sort of estimation for all the other parcels that come. But the number is large, but we are also, on the other side of it, really working on the economic development piece, right? To activate, not necessarily these sites, but mainland Vallejo. I don't know how to state it, but.
Let me come back in again
Yeah.
on this. Like I said, this is a small one. We know that we can figure this one out financially. It's the other ones, okay? And when you look at the other ones, what you've got to keep in mind is that those general fund dollars will be going over here versus over here. Okay? So it'll be a different conversation as we bring these things to you. It'll be about making choices. What's important.
So I understand, and that's why I know that you all are just not bringing this forward asking us to do something without having thought about what are some of the potential things that you can do. And I think that's important to be able to say, here, we don't have a full concrete pathway, but these are the things that we're thinking about, how we can achieve these goals. And again, as we get to the bigger ask, here are some choices that we're going to have to make. And I think that's the kind of conversation we have to have when you're asking for us to have good faith and follow you.
Yes, thank you. You know, we plan on having a number of sort of planning sessions around the parcels that, you know, this parcel and the others that will be bringing before you, and that will absolutely be part of the conversation of how we're going to cover them. And it may not be 100% fleshed out, but we can at least present you with some sort of a plan or approach financially, so we're not, you know, just having you guys take a leap of faith.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. And this is, so part of this is a conversation that the city manager and I have had in the past about, so for the bigger picture, and this is kind of like the epitome of why we've kind of appointed Mr. Black to be in this position, because this is a long-term thinking, long-term planning type of project, to where this is part of the whole asset management from an entire city that we're looking at. And as Assistant City Manager Nalungo pointed out, is that we're going to evaluate all of our asset management to where we know that this may be costing this X amount of dollars, to where we can look at other properties to identify, do we really want to spend those type of monies on that? So once again, this is part of, once again, a bigger picture that I think City Manager Black is putting into play, that people can start realizing and seeing what the future is holding. And we're gonna, and once again, this is what I would like to say, is that we haven't had this type of forward thinking in a while. At least in my 3 years that we've been here, to where this is kind of like the first step of many, that from a forward-thinking standpoint, that we are taking this leap of faith, but understanding there is a full plan and strategy behind it, to where we're not doing this blindly like we've typically done in the past over my 3 years. So this is, I'm very much full throttled going forward with this type of idea, knowing that there is a plan and a strategy moving forward. So thank you.
All right. With that, we've taken comments and we are ready for a motion.
Yes,
sorry. We closed it earlier. If you can be extremely brief, please come up. We do just still have quite a few items. Anyone that stays up with us till 10 p.m., I do want to give them an opportunity to speak, but I will encourage brevity.
Is this on? Oh, it is on. Quick question. So we have a ton of beautiful historic assets in this city. One that comes to mind is the Herbert House. And so we're taking a big leap of faith, it sounds like, to take on these beautiful homes on Mare Island, and we let other historic places languish. So it sounds like there's ways to move money around to take on things like this, but what about the ones that have been in our span of attention for years and being neglected? That's my question.
Yeah. Strong point, and it is well taken. City Manager, do you want to add anything?
No, I would just reiterate what the Vice Mayor said. We currently have an RFP on the street to bring in an outside entity to do a property management inventory and plan for us, so that we know exactly what we have, where it is, what the value of it potentially is, what the uses might be. It could be redevelopment of it, could be sale of the asset, or anything. So all of that will be in the mix along with everything else that we have.
Thank you again. That's a great point. And with that, we were ready for a motion.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that we adopt a resolution approving the acceptance of a quitclaim deed for the Navy's production manufacturing area, Mare Island parcel, and authorizing the city manager to execute the same.
And we're ready for a roll call vote.
Councilmember Ledeju. Matias.
Yes.
Palmares.
Aye.
Mayor Source.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Matulik.
Aye.
Councilmember Bergenzer.
Yes.
Gordon.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
All right, thank you all. Why don't we go backwards now and we will take action item B. I'll ask the city clerk to announce this item as soon as she's ready.
Hold a public hearing and introduce an ordinance amending Chapter 16.303 of the Vallejo Municipal Code related to accessory dwelling units and finding statutory exempt from the requirements of the California Environmental Quality Act, known as CEQA, pursuant to Public Resources Code Section 21080.17 and CEQA Guidelines Section 15282H.
All right, thank you. So we are, I am in favor of us getting through our items tonight, and I want to thank our long-range planning manager for staying around for this item. To remind the council and the public, we are going to have a public hearing on this item. The way that this works is I will open the public hearing. We will hear the presentation by staff. Council members will have an opportunity to ask clarifying questions. These are questions just to clarify things that were in the presentation, but it's important that we not get into depth or express strong opinions until we've held the public hearing and heard public comment, after which point we will close the public hearing and deliberate. We don't want to project bias in our deliberations until we've heard all of the commenters. So that's how the public hearings work. With that, I will open the public hearing and I will turn it over to Mr. Rojas.
Thank you, Mayor Source, and good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. Again, Hector Rojas, Long Range Planning Manager. So tonight, I'm presenting the proposed accessory dwelling unit ordinance. Staff is asking the council to hold a public hearing and introduce the proposed ordinance, which would amend Chapter 16.303 of our municipal code. By way of background, an accessory dwelling unit, or ADU, is a secondary residential unit on the same lot as a primary dwelling. It has its own living, sleeping, cooking, and sanitation facilities. It may be detached, attached to the main home, or created by converting existing space, such as a garage. There's another class of ADU called a junior ADU, or JADU for short. This is a smaller unit that's located entirely within an existing single-family dwelling, and it's limited to 500 square feet and may share sanitation facilities with the primary residence. So why are we doing this update now? Well, the city's current ordinance has not been updated since 2021, so it's really outdated. Since then, state law has changed quite a bit. The law now establishes a ministerial approval process with specific review timelines and limits on local standards that can apply to ADUs. The update is also required by the general plan's housing element, which directs the city to periodically review and update its ADU regulations. So the purpose of this item tonight essentially is to bring our code into alignment with current state law, remove outdated provisions, and establish clear processes for applicants and staff alike. ADUs have, as I'm sure you are aware, become an increasingly important source of new housing. In 2024 alone, they represented more than 26% of all homes permitted statewide. Here in Vallejo, 186 ADUs were permitted between 2018 and 2024. Last year, 19 ADUs received planning approval, and 17 applicants completed a survey about their intended use for those ADUs. Among the respondents, most projects were newly constructed detached units. The median unit was around 525 square feet, and most of those were studios and one-bedroom units. Applicants did report wanting to use their ADUs for both rental housing as well as housing for family members. They reported that rents would generally range between $1,000 and $2,000 per month. This data was not verified. It's voluntary information that was provided by the survey respondents. So local housing production numbers of ADUs show clear interest in this housing type. But the application survey also pointed to a challenge that keeps coming up and we run into a lot, which is people don't really understand our permitting requirements. In response, the city published an ADU mini guide that walks homeowners through ADU types, basic rules, financing and design considerations, permitting, constructions, fees, and agency contacts. And so I just want to say that following the adoption of this ordinance, if that's the direction we take, staff will update that guide to be consistent with the adopted ordinance. So the ordinance itself has also been reorganized and clarified so that applicants and staff can more easily identify the rules for each ADU type that can be built on a property. The proposed ordinance would repeal, as I mentioned, repeal and replace Municipal Code Chapter 16303 with updated definitions and standard for converted, attached, and detached and junior ADUs. It addresses ADUs on both single-family and multifamily lots, clarifies parking, objective design standards, utility connections, everything related to an ADU. The ordinance would also streamline how an applicant moves through the city's application review process. Currently, an applicant first submits a planning application and pays a planning review fee. After receiving planning approval, the applicant submits a separate building permit application and pays a second review fee. Under the proposed ordinance, the applicant would submit one application and one fee through the building division. Within 15 business days, the city would determine whether that application is complete and identify any missing items. Once complete, the application would be then routed internally to planning staff, who would determine conformance with the new ADU ordinance in this case. The building division would then approve or deny the application within 60 days. These are all timeframes that are set by state law. The review would remain ministerial, and that just means that there's not going to be any public notice, and that there's not going to be a public hearing, and that's what the current situation is with the review of these ADUs anyway. One area that the city is adding flexibility beyond what the state requirements are is parking for small units. Under the proposed ordinance, an ADU of 500 square feet or less would not be required to provide any off-street parking. This exemption would reduce the cost and physical space that's needed for smaller ADUs and can make them feasible on more residential lots. So the reason we did this is to qualify more properties that previously didn't qualify to build ADUs on their lots. Now, there are already other parking exemptions that are already required by the state that would also continue to apply, and those are covered in the proposed ordinance. So this ordinance has been in development since March of 2025. It's undergone extensive legal, technical, stakeholder, and planning commission review. The formal hearing process began on April 20th with the Planning Commission recommending adoption. The item was then scheduled for City Council consideration on May 26th. But shortly before the meeting, City did receive comments from California Housing Defense Fund, as well as the Vallejo Flood and Wastewater District. So staff went ahead, and actually the council went ahead and removed the item from the agenda so that we could address those comments before the ADU came back for your consideration. During the month of June, staff coordinated with Cal HDF, VFWD, and our city attorney's office to identify and incorporate revisions that address the concerns. And because these revisions included substantive changes to what the Planning Commission previously considered, those changes returned to the Planning Commission on July 6th. Long story short, the commission did reconsider the revised ordinance and recommended adoption, which brings us to tonight's meeting. So a quick summary on the revisions that were made. These resulted in a focus set of revisions that are summarized on the table here, and they fall into three general categories. First, the revised ordinance clarifies that the local historic resource, setback, parking, and size standards in the ordinance would not apply to ADUs authorized under Government Code Section 66323, which are sometimes referred to as state-exempt ADUs. Second, the revised ordinance addresses VFWD's concern about utility connections. The previous draft would have required separate wastewater connections for ADUs, but VFWD explained to us that it does not currently require and is not authorized to require separate connections. So we revised the ordinance to be consistent with that practice. The revised language now makes it clear that a separate connection may be required only when authorized by the state and the applicable utility requirements. And then lastly, the revised ordinance clarifies the intended application review process, which includes Planning Division's conformance review following the Building Division's completeness review. Happy to report that both Cal HDF and VFWD have confirmed that the revisions in the ordinance address their concerns. And Cal HDF, I think, has submitted a couple of letters of support, one of which is included in your packet, I believe. So just bringing this home, with the revisions incorporated, the proposed ordinance is ready for your consideration tonight. We are recommending that the council hold the public hearing and introduce the ordinance. I just wanted to say that the ordinance supports ADUs as one tool that the city has in its housing production toolkit. They're generally smaller size and can provide relatively lower cost housing choices. And we feel that this will complement other strategies that are outlined in our housing element, including the renter protection work that we're working on currently. And then lastly, the ordinance, we believe, is exempt from CEQA because state law specifically exempts ordinances that are being adopted to comply with state law. And if introduced tonight, the ordinance would return to council for adoption at the next regular meeting. And just really quickly, once this is adopted, we'll be submitting it to the State Housing and Community Development Department for their review to make sure that the ordinance meets the housing requirements at the state. If they do make a finding that there is something that's either missing or not addressed, they'll send us a letter and we'll potentially work with the city attorney's office to work on amendments to the ordinance that's adopted and bring it back through the planning commission and city council process. So with that, happy to turn it over to the council, and I'm happy to address any questions you might have.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. So we will now have an opportunity for council members to ask clarifying questions, and I will clarify that these are things that are these are things that are factual and can be answered factually and avoid us taking any opinion. Councilmember Gordon.
Just to clarify, so if I say, how did this clear for ADA? Is that a question for clarifying?
I think that would count if you can speak to the ADA compliance.
For handicap part, most people who live in these locations are handicapped. How is that going to protect them?
That's a great question. I wish I had our building official here to speak to that, but that's typically covered in their review. What I can say is that typically for single-family homes, there's not an ADA requirement unless there is somebody there that's already living and is going to use the parking space for ADA purposes. Typically, those requirements do come into play when there's a greater size of units that are being, rented out or purchased by, someone that's interested in that unit. But I would have to probably defer to Kristen Pollitt. I believe she's on our call today and may be able to address that question if that doesn't answer your question already.
Thank you. And then the next one. So just clarifying, VFWD did confirm capacity is not a concern?
They did not look at that issue, but I would also keep in mind that ADUs have been being processed for quite some time now. The state actually, in their legislation, made it clear that we can't disapprove or deny an ADU because of capacity issues. The state does sort of look at these as de minimis impact uses, meaning that there's not enough intensity being added to a single family home or multifamily home to trigger those types of upgrades.
And my last clarifying is the reason that CEQA is not an issue because I cringe when I see waivers. Is it because the property already probably passed CEQA?
No, it's primarily because the state legislature has declared that there's a high housing crisis, and this ADU policy has been so popular and so effective statewide that they've said this is something that we want to invest our time in and continue to promote. So they've actually made an exemption specifically for this type of ordinance.
Okay, I'll hold my comments with that later. Okay. Thank you.
Councilmember Matias.
Thank you, Mayor. I know we recently approved the master fee schedule. Does staff have any plans to introduce fee waivers or fee reductions around this ordinance update?
We haven't discussed that yet. I know that there is a fee waiver pilot program that Director Pollitt is considering around other items. But in a way, We're actually reducing the fee here because we're going again from a process that requires 2 applications currently and requires 2 fees. We're eliminating one of the applications and one of the fees. So essentially, there's already a reduction built into that. However, we could consider additional waiver or reduction programs if that's something that the council identifies as a priority.
Okay. The next question is around I know I had asked Director Pollitt at a meeting last year around pre-approved plans. So what, if anything, can you share around any work your team's doing to make the process easier for folks by making those available?
I actually have experience in that area coming from Richmond. We were able to get a grant, I forget the source, but that paid for the consultant who is an architect to develop 3 standardized pre-approved plans that they are now using for different size. They have a detached primarily example. So I think what we would have to do, and this goes back to our our pro-housing designation.
I'm going there.
Once we do receive that designation, there'll be access to those incentive funds, and we could take those funds to essentially earmark an amount that we could then use to develop those plans, because the city by itself doesn't have the ability, and we don't have any architects on staff essentially. So an architect has to decide or prepare those plans, and they also have to keep it current with every code update that the state requires us to adopt. So it's involved, but I think this is the first phase, and I think looking ahead, that could be a phase 2.
And then my last question is actually around the pro-housing designation, which we discussed at the last meeting. So can you shed some light on whether or not this benefits a potential application, just for clarification?
Absolutely.
Yeah, just
Yes.
want to.
It'll help us score higher. Yes.
Okay. All right. That's all I got, Mayor.
Councilmember Palmares.
My colleague stole my thunder. I was going to bring up the pre-approved plans, but I definitely want to double down on that. I think that's the future for us, and any way we can expedite things is always a good thing. There's a lot about this I like. The objective standards.
So, Councilmember Palmares, I'm going to actually ask you to save that until after the public comment, because we are not allowed to expound. Do you have any clarifying questions? I'm trying to.
Can I
chair the
comment
meeting.
later? Yes. All right, later.
Yeah. So we'll have a whole round of comments after. All right. Why don't we go ahead and take public comment? We'll start in person and then do online.
Yes, we have one speaker signed up, Tim Heimstra.
And thank you for your patience, Mr. Heimstra.
I started at 4:30 this morning.
And you will need that handheld mic, the handheld mic down below.
The handheld mic?
There you go.
All right,
That's it.
good. Hey, my name is Tim Heimstra. I'm the owner and broker of Napa River Realty here in town. I take pride in the fact that I have over 300 five-star reviews, and I work really, really, really hard. And affordable housing is a big, gigantic deal. This is huge that we're going to, have a streamlined process for ADUs. And having sold a ton of property in this town, in Newport Beach where I lived, I had a second property up in Amador County around a manufactured home dealership. Many of you know that it's taken me about 4 years to pay. I've paid for the CEQA and to put in a manufactured home dealership, stunning landscape architecture on my waterfront property on Wilson Avenue down the street here from the ferry terminal. And it's a 35,000 square foot lot. I'm really proud of the fact that I've worked hard to get this done, and we're almost shovel ready for that. A big, gigantic deal. At about 7:15 this evening, I sent all of you an email. And I want to talk about tiny homes. Tiny homes is a big deal, and I'll tell you why. Because tiny homes is, the definition of that is 400 square feet or less. And I can't, maybe you can probably relate to this, but I can't tell you how many people, how many homeowners need something around the $90,000 range, in a no-nonsense manner with quality construction, great looking. And we can do that with a tiny home, which is 400 square feet or less. The county and cities of Los Angeles, county and city of San Diego, Santa Cruz, Humboldt, Fresno, They decided to become revolutionary with the housing shortages, and they are allowing that. And it's a big deal. It's really, it's made a big difference in the communities by having that. We know children that need a place to live. They're 30 years old and they're struggling financially. The parents want to do something for them. This is perfect because you can finance these 100%, and we can get the tiny homes at $90,000. I'm going to ask that each and every one of you take a strong look at the email that I sent you this evening, and it talks about the ANSEL code, okay? And it takes your stamp of approval to allow this to happen. And it's going to make a huge impact. You know, we're over $30 million over budget here just recently, and I think you've done a great, strong job in trying to bring that down. We lost a shipbuilding over in, you know, it was shocking to all of us that we lost that it went to Texas. You know, anything that we can do to reduce regulations, to address housing shortages is a big deal. Please take a look at my email and this additional thing that we need to adopt for the city of Vallejo. We need revolutionary change and affordable housing and strong economic development. And it seems like every time I attend a city council meeting, it seems like a economic vitality thing on the agenda is the very last thing. Many times I've been here at 1 or 2 in the morning waiting for my time to come up and speak on behalf of something to do with economic vitality. Please take a strong look at the email that I sent you and adopting this measure, please. God bless you.
Thank you. Anyone else in person? And if not, let's go ahead and take our online speakers.
Through the mayor, no speakers online at this time.
All right. With that, I will close the public hearing, and now council can ask and say whatever they'd like. Councilmember Palmares, go right ahead.
Thank you. Now I can pontificate. So I really appreciate this, the objective standards, the expeditious permitting process. Again, I'd like to mention that, I'm a big supporter of the pre-approved ADU plans. I also want to be much more aggressive than that. I think there's opportunity for pre-approved plans for other housing typologies out there, single-family home, multifamily homes. I know it's a little revolutionary, but I share that sentiment. When I think about economic development, it's not just businesses, and that's a big part of it, right? But when I think about economic development is how are we going to generate revenue for the city, and the planning, the infill development, the homes that we're creating, that's going to be a big part of, through the property taxes, like how we're going to get ourselves out as whole. And so what I also like to remark on this is just a potential bottleneck with the building inspection or the lack of building inspectors we have in our building inspection division. And to me, that's a huge bottleneck. We need more building inspectors. We've lost a couple so far, and we need more. And if we're slow with the building inspections, we are losing out on money. We're losing out on development. So, my challenge to the city manager is, one, how do we get back those 2 building inspectors, and how do we get more, right? If we got to throw in some bonuses, I'm all ears. What are the creative ideas to get more building inspectors? But also think creatively in terms of how to get those building inspections to be more efficient and faster and less costly. I'm also very interested in remote building inspections or virtual building inspections. There's a dozen other cities out there in California right now that are already doing that, and that cuts down on time. So it's not one person. We're not relying on one person to make an appointment, drive to the other side of town, go to the building inspection. But from everything that I've read so far, it's pretty efficient and cuts down on costs. So I'm only saying that because yes, there's 15 days for permit, but what if all of our building inspectors are sick or something like that? I want to make sure that we are actually meeting that standard. So I don't know if you have anything to comment and reply.
Yeah, through the mayor, just to clarify the 15 days. So the 15 days is related to how much time the building division has to respond to the initial application. Then once we deem the application complete, We have 60 days after that to decide whether we're going to approve it or not. And then after that, you got your building permit in hand. I mean, that person could, go home and sit on it for 6 months. It depends on, whether they're going to come into the building department and actually request those inspections after they hired a contractor to start building.
Thank you, and thank you for the clarification. My point still remains. We just have to be
absolutely.
very efficient and just reaching to become more customer forward in the Planning Development Services Department. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks. All right, Vice Mayor Matulik.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Hector, for bringing this forward, and thank you, Kristen, for pushing your team to get this getting us up to code and up to state law right now. And as much as this may be a proponent and a kickboard or a kickstart to helping us support a lot of our housing needs here, I do want to talk about the flip side also. So the fact that this is ministerial, that means there are no outreach to neighbors. There are no outreach to community members if there are any concerns. So I bring up that point of many of these ADUs, and especially if there's JADUs, along with ADUs, are short-term rentals. So this is where if there are neighbors that are complaining about the party house down the street or the party house next door, what are their protections of these type of units being used for that?
Yeah, so that's a important point to clarify. The ordinance and state law, because we have to be consistent with state law, doesn't allow the use of ADUs for short-term rentals. If they are to be rented, they need to be rented for a period of 30 days or more. So I know that, maybe 31, 32 days or what have you, but that was an intent in the state code to prohibit those from happening.
And thank you for that clarification, because a lot of the questions and concerns that I got were specifically about the Airbnbs or the short-term rentals, to where this doesn't fall within that. So I just want to make people understand and clear that this is not the party house next door that maybe some have seen on YouTube or on some of the Facebook posts like that. So thank you for that, and I think once again, the more we can expedite, the more we can be more efficient with this, this is going to help not only from an economic boom standpoint for a lot of homeowners to get that extra income potentially for rentals and long-term rentals, but also because keeping in mind, we are the gateway to Napa for a lot of people, and to have that opportunity for people to have that opportunity for us to be such the central focus and a central location throughout the Bay Area, this is another opportunity for a lot of our homeowners to have that extra opportunity for supporting their family, but also supporting the neighborhoods and the community.
Councilmember Gordon.
Thank you. So I just wanted to add some concerns about the CEQA. I understand, but I just want to give my comment. Where I grew up at, we had houses pop up because we didn't have that where I lived. And later on, we come to find out that the house that we grew up in had chemicals that altered my genes that caused me to have a child live with Downs. And even though the property had been another house there, it caught fire, and then they built another house there, and that's the house that we moved in. And I lived there for almost 18 years of my life. And so it was finally determined that it was environmental health altered that caused my genes to produce a young man with an extra chromosome. Not that I'm complaining, but that's why I get nervous when I see the word CEQA. And I think about the PG&E project, how all that time people were, launching their boats and living their life, and then we come to find out that it was chemicals in that ground. And so I get nervous when I see that word CEQA. We don't to be waived. We don't want people to have to suffer, especially if there's children. And then if it's temporarily, they will never know where those genes could have altered or where they had health issues at. So I'm really nervous about that. The next concern that I had was, no, I just want to first of all thank you, Hector, for a wonderful presentation. And thank you, sir. Thank you for our call about the tiny homes for South Vallejo. I appreciate that. But I also wanted to highlight the handicap concern, because I did get a couple of texts, because there's always fighting. I hear some people, oh, you know, they parked in my space, they parked in front of my home, but where can they park? It does become a nuisance. I mean, seriously. I mean, I know one in District 5 right now is having a heart attack because some people they egged their cars. They did a lot of things to the ADU. Well, I wouldn't say whatever it is. I'll just say extra housing. I don't know how that situation is, but it's a big issue. And so, especially if it's not long term, then it's a bigger issue because the long-term people are going to be upset. And so that's one. And then my last particular question would be, could they have more than 32 days? Can it be, or is it the cutoff is 30 to 32 days?
For it to be a short-term rental, yes, it would need to be less than 30 days for it to be a short-term rental.
And then that goes then when does squatting rights take place? And would that become an issue? And I think that I would recommend whoever does this process, because like you said earlier in your presentation, and thank you for pointing it out, people don't understand everything. Could one of their check off would be that they have to do a orientation? So they can check that off and say, hey, you can't say you didn't know the rules, you didn't know this, you didn't know that. Could that be one of the check off? Just a thought. You don't have to answer it now, just something to think about. Thank you. Do you want to answer any of my questions?
Sure. I think you're concerned about CEQA. Just because something is exempt from CEQA doesn't necessarily mean that there aren't safeguards already in place through our building codes that would address concerns like, there's an existing, let's say, part of the house that's going to be converted to an ADU. And so as part of that application and that, permit drawing set, they're going to have to show, hey, this is the space that we're converting. The inspector ultimately would see that there's lead on the wall and would require it to be removed. So that is part of the process and could be addressed that way. I'm not sure about other environmental concerns, but typically these units are being built on single-family properties where there's already a primary dwelling unit, and so you're building the new ADU in the backyard or attached to the unit, and that construction is going to be new. It's going to have to comply with all the building codes that are in place in the city already. So trying to address that question.
Before you go on,
yeah.
That was my point when I asked earlier, could it be because of that reason? And if that's so, that's fine, but I just wanted to say on record why that was a concern. Thank you.
Understood. And then as far as the handicap space, I'm aware of the parking wars. I have that in my neighborhood, so very sensitive to that. I just want to say the state has already made that decision for us. If we wanted to require a parking space for these different types of ADUs, we wouldn't be able to. Once we send that ordinance to HCD, they're going to say, nope, state law doesn't require that, take that off. So essentially a lot of that, including the public noticing, including the public meetings, they've already said, we're not going to leave this to the local jurisdictions. We're taking a heavy hand here, and we're going to go ahead and decide what the process is going to be. I think those were all your potential questions. Okay.
All right, Councilmember Matias.
This will be quick. I just have one last question for you. On the permitting front, I know you guys made some enhancements to the website to facilitate some permitting. Is this also part of additional enhancements you'll be making to make it more, better streamline the process generally?
I'd have to defer that question to Director Paula just because she oversees the building division. I believe the permit streamlining that you're referring to is for solar, water heater, like sort of the, mom and pop, everybody wants to come in and request this permit. But ADUs are probably like 30% of the questions that we handle at the planning counter. So it's a really popular subject, and I would imagine that if there's some tweaks that we could do to our permit streamlining process, that this would be a good candidate for it.
Okay. And then earlier I had talked about fee waivers and the like. I think, we can sit here and approve ordinances all day, but one of the things that I would like for you guys to think about when you bring these items forward in the future is like, is there an accompanying action that the council can take to continue, to move the process along and spur activity? We have there are parts of our town that have oversized lots where they're just prime candidates for someone to build an ADU, get that rental income going for themselves, which can help pay for things in their household. So I want you guys to just ask that question before you're coming before us. Like, is there something we can propose to council, even if they shoot it down, where we can also spur some of this economic activity to support households across the city? And then on the communications front, I know that there was a flyer that you guys that you shared as part of the presentation, but like, how much are you leaning into video? And I know you have limited capacity, but like, we need to get the word out, and that's my last point around this. You guys have updated the EV ordinance. You updated this. You made updates to the zoning code. Like, these are things that I want to see on the website. I would like to have members of your team do quick snippets for 2 minutes to say, hey, we did this, we did that, and we're pushing it out on social media. Because otherwise, we're not really telling the world, hey, we're open for business and we're changing things and we're moving them fast to make it attractive for you to come and do stuff here. So I just also want to push you guys to, if there is a need, because you guys are underwater and you're working on a lot of things, elevate it to the city manager and to the council, but we've got to start to get the word out on all the work that you guys are doing, because it's been a lot just in the past 6 to 8 months. You've done several presentations on things you're updating and changing, and that's part of the story we should be sharing on the economic development front, not just the construction projects that are happening across the city. So constructive feedback, but just very grateful for all the work you're doing. Keep it going.
Thank you.
Councilmember Letizhu.
Thanks for the presentation and the work. So, and you may not be able to answer the question, and I don't know that it necessarily needs to be answered more than I'm making a comment. And I think, being able to build an ADU or a junior ADU is really important to have those kinds of opportunities, or do any type of remodeling in a home that you own. But I think the real question for us is, how long does it take me to get through the process to be able to do it? In addition to that, are the fees to do that work prohibited or cost prohibited? And that's something that we have to think about while we're trying to hold all these things at one time is, again, is it affordable when you're paying $20,000, $30,000 to put in a kitchen? That's a lot of money. So how do we look at all those things? Because we have to think about all those things. Yes, the city wants to make money. That's one thing. But people have to be able to afford to do it on their land, right? And the process has to be streamlined and relatively easy to get through. So those are things that we're grappling with, and I don't need an answer. I just want to daylight it, and it's in contrast to what Councilmember Matias said. I'm not disagreeing, it's true, but I also want to think about the other side of it. How do we balance all of it? And we're not the only government trying to think about it, so I'm not asking for an answer. I just want us to think about it.
All right, I'm seeing no other questions or comments from council. Councilmember Gordon, very quickly, go ahead, very quickly.
Being somebody who's been dealing with this for a minute, please do not allow the start time before 8 o'clock for any type of construction work. Please, because it's not fair to the residents. You want to cause some problems, that might be one of them. Please.
8 a.m.?
8 a.m., yes.
Yeah, this would all be subject to our current noise ordinance. I'm not aware, but typically it's 7 a.m. in most jurisdictions. I'm not 100% sure what it is in Vallejo.
That typically is supposed to been 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, but people have been starting at 7 o'clock, and that's not fair to people, especially when they do this work on Saturday. Thank you.
All right, I believe we are ready for a motion.
Move we hold a public hearing and introduce an ordinance amending Chapter 16.303 of the Vallejo Municipal Code related to accessory dwelling units and finding such action statutorily exempt from the requirements of the California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA, pursuant to Public Resource Code Section 21080.17 and CEQA Guidelines Section 15282H.
All right, thank you. We're going to do a roll call vote.
Councilmember Matias,
Yes.
Palmares,
Aye.
Mayor Soers,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Machulik,
Aye.
Councilmember Bergenser,
Yes.
Gordon.
Aye.
That is you. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much, and thank you
Thank you,
again for
Council.
the presentation and the work the whole planning team has done to get this partially across the finish line. With that, I am seeing a clock of 10:51, and we have one item left. I am tempted, because we are heading into recess, to power through this last item, but I am going to kind of just do a quick look through. Normally, I would stop us, but I think we do want to get through this. So I will go ahead and move us on to item 7D, and I'll ask our clerk to announce this item.
Adopt a resolution ratifying additional design professional services performed by Indigo Hammond plus Plyle, the Architects, LLP, approving the third amendment to the design professional services agreement with same to expand the scope of work and increase the contract amount by $15,500 for a maximum not to exceed $6,396,400, authorizing the city manager to execute same and possibly provide input direction to the city manager relating to the project.
All right, thank you very much. So we will open up public comment on this. I am going to confer briefly with the city manager and make a suggestion that we see this item tonight for this particular contract with Indigo, and we commit to a follow-up. I'm sure we will want to have a more in-depth conversation on the police headquarters project, and given the hour, I'm wondering if that's something that we would be able to follow up on in the next couple months for a more substantive discussion, so that we can limit our questions and comments today to this particular contract item. Or is there any other further direction that you would like from us this evening?
That's going to all depend upon how the presentation goes. Are we going to be requesting specific direction other than paying the $15,000?
No, sir.
That's it? Yeah, so we can bring it back another time as an information item for a future agenda.
I think that would be helpful, because I know there's going to be a lot of questions and comments more broadly about the
yeah.
police station, and there's going to be direction that's needed to be given. So I'm going to go ahead and set an intent right now for us to focus on this particular item and contract.
Just to clarify.
Go ahead, Councilmember Gordon.
So did I understand you saying that we just going to approve the 15,000 for tonight, and then rest we hold off?
We're going to limit our discussion tonight about this particular financial item that needs approval, and further discussion regarding our vision for the project we'll need to have at a later time, just due to the hour. I'm seeing a lot of lights go on. If we're going to have a substantive discussion, we might as well just take the item. Or we're not. Okay, Councilmember Letters, go ahead.
So what I really want to quickly understand, if it's that they need the $15,500 to pay the contract, and we're really not going to discuss anything other than they need this money, then let's just vote on it if that's what they need.
I'm
That's-
okay
that's
with
what I
that.
was
I'm
trying
asking
to
for council's. Yeah. I'm in favor of that. So, all right. With that, we will turn it over to I wanted to acknowledge from the outset that this is going to need further discussion. So we're going to commit to that further discussion, and I'll turn it over to the Public Works team for the brief description of it. They need to at least describe it for transparency purposes.
Or as you suggested, Mayor, you could just vote on what we know the item is, if that's okay with you.
I would like at least 2 sentences of what it is, just for transparency purposes, but if just a couple sentences is fine.
Director,
Yeah.
2 sentences, please.
I'm sorry, it'll be a few more than that, but we originally came here with 2 purposes tonight. One, to clear up a clerical mistake. We directed Indigo, Ham, and Plale, and this is Bruce Plale, one of the principals from the firm. We directed them to do work on the dispatch modular to help us design a safety wall around it, but that was never captured in a contract. And so the reason we're here asking you tonight is because we need a ratification because we directed work, $15,000 worth of work, that was never captured in a contract. We do have sufficient funding in the project budget, so it's not a matter of needing additional funding. It's just that we didn't do our contracting properly. We also came prepared tonight to give you an update on the project and to give you some ideas about how we might do some value engineering. But if that is not what you want to hear tonight, then
I think what we'll do is we'll take that next month. That way we have time for some real discussion of it, if that sounds okay.
absolutely.
Thank you very much. Why don't we go ahead and take public comment in person and then online? We don't have anyone in person. Do we have anyone online?
None
All
online,
right.
Mayor.
I will just state before I ask for a motion, I will state for the record, I voted no on the last expansion, so I'm going to stick with that, but I acknowledge the item and what was just said. And I'll go to ask for a motion.
I move we adopt a resolution ratifying additional design professional services performed by Indigo Hammond and Plale Architects LLP, approving the third amendment to the design professional services agreement with the same to expand the scope of work and increase the contract amount by $15,500 for a maximum not to exceed $6,396,400, authorizing the city manager to execute the same and possibly provide input direction to the city manager relating to the project.
And we are deferring that direction related to the project to a future meeting. All right, we're ready for a vote.
Councilmember Palmieri.
Aye.
Mayor Source.
No.
Vice Mayor Matulik.
Aye.
Councilmember Begenzer.
Yes.
Gordon.
Aye.
Letiju. And Matias.
Yes.
So the motion carries with Mayor Source opposed.
Great. Thank you again, and thank you to our Public Works team for sticking with us until 11 p.m. for this item. We'll look forward to the further discussion because I know you all are inheriting this and helping us get this across the finish line as best we can. So we have already taken our information calendar item, which means we are moving on to item 9, City Manager's Report.
Just a few events coming up, everyone. The last late night basketball event will be this Friday, August the 7th. Thursday, August the 6th will be the first August summer night event in downtown Vallejo from 5 until 9 p.m. Lots of music, food, and fun. The Bay Area Stage Theater on Broadway is running a play this month called The Cemetery Club, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday through the 16th. The Mare Island Company is holding their summer event called The Dockside Dazzle, Friday, August 7th from 5 to 8. GVRD's final band and Brews-Free Summer Concert Series also on Friday, August the 7th, with music from 6:30 to 8 at Blue Rock Springs Park. That's all I have.
All right, thank you very much. That's going to bring us to item 10, City Attorney's Report.
Just super quickly, at your last council meeting, council directed that we bring forward an ordinance to amend the SAB member appointment process. That ordinance has already been drafted, and we would be proposing to bring that back at one of your September meetings, and just wanted to give the council a heads up on that.
Thank you for that. That sounds good. All right, that's going to bring us to item 11, requests and actions for future agenda items or special projects. Councilmember Gordon.
It's not this one, thank you. It's
Okay, I'm not seeing anyone for this one, so we'll move on to report of the presiding officer. I saw Councilmember Gordon's light again, and I thought it was for that item again. Report of the presiding officers and members of the City Council. Councilmember Gordon.
Thank you so very much, and I do appreciate the city manager bringing up the late night basketball being the last night for this upcoming Friday. This is going to be a special one. We're going to acknowledge all of the volunteer teams, the interns, all of the partners from the community and beyond. We also want to thank the city staff, so I hope you all come. The kids going to get goodies. It's going to be wonderful. So please come out, all of my colleagues. I also like to take this time to thank Councilman Mateus for coming for Civic Night and sharing some beautiful words. In fact, people are still talking about it when I came in. Unfortunately, I was getting water for the kids, so I missed it. I want to say thank you. They videotaped it and sent it to me, so thank you for your kind words. Also, I want to make sure that, please, from the city of Vallejo and beyond, westbound Carquinez Bridge will be closed from August 21st to the 24th. However, you have an opportunity to attend a very important informational presentation on the project Monday, August 10th from 6 to 7 p.m. at the Norman King Center in South Vallejo Community Center. Is right at Magazine and Sonoma Boulevard, better known as Highway 29. So please come out, because remember, it doesn't only affect Vallejo, it's Fairfield, it's Sacramento, anyone who has to cross that bridge, family members and whatnot. Please come and get information. One of the biggest concerns I heard was, if there's alternative routes, would it be an extra charge if they have to, for the toll bridge, if they have to cross multiple toll bridges to get to their location, like Crockett, for example. So just sharing those thoughts. So please come out, utilize the time, get your answers, and that way you can plan accordingly. That's my report. Oh, and today is my birthday, August 3rd. August 3rd is my typical birthday, but because my birthday was in the summer, I celebrate all month long. So I'm 60.
Right. Vice Mayor Matulik.
Thank you, Mayor. And I just want to congratulate Empowerment Boys and Girls Club, Orlando Graham, for holding his Vallejo Safety Day on July 31st. Thank you to the mayor, Councilmember Lediju, and City Manager Black for speaking at the event. Want to thank Jamila Hanif for holding another Watch Me Grow resource fair, and right after that was, I want to thank Cristal Gallegos for holding the Vallejo Housing Right to Thrive event. That would be the end of my report.
Okay, Councilmember Gordon, very quickly.
Just one more, I apologize. I want to give a shout out to Suzanne Madison, her brother and her sister Paula and Reginald Madison, I said it right, for helping and hosting our South Vallejo meeting with the Vallejo City Unified School District regarding Grant Elementary. In case people didn't know, there was a third fire this past Sunday. And I want to thank VCUSD for coming out, taking those hard answers and coming back with solid answers. I have questions to those answers. I appreciate you all. Thank you very much. And again, I want to give a shout out to this wonderful team who partner with me to make sure we get these questions answered. Thank you very much again.
Councilmember Matias.
Thank you, Mayor. This will be quick. So just want to commend City Manager Black and Chief Taffer issuing a statement, I believe a week or two ago, just regarding the uptick in violence. I think we can all agree this summer has been a little, there's been a lot happening in community. There's been a lot of crime. There's been a lot of violence. There's been folks who have lost their lives. And so we have our public safety meeting tomorrow where we're going to be digging in at 6:30 in the Vallejo room on each of these issues and hopefully getting a path forward from PD. But we'll just encourage community, since we're not going to be back online until early September, to, the usual, if you see something, say something, call 911, and make sure you folks are staying safe, because we're definitely feeling a rise relative to last year. So that's my public service announcement for the evening.
All right, I'll close this out with that follow-up public service announcement on the bridge closure, since we will not have a meeting between now and then. That is Friday, August 21st at 10 p.m. until Monday, August 24th, 3 a.m. So very early, basically Saturday and Sunday all day, and then a little bit on the swing on either side. Caltrans has started their outreach. The city has started sharing it. We just need to keep sharing it and reminding folks and getting folks to plan ahead. It's going to be inconvenient for 2 days, but if we plan ahead, we can minimize the damage or the inconvenience, I guess. And the damage on the bridge will be fixed because we'll have a nice new bridge after westbound. And then the other thing I'll highlight just for folks' awareness is on Saturday, the 15th, VCUSD is holding a back to school event at Loma Vista Farms. I believe it begins at 9 a.m., but we have provided them with our FIFA soccer balls, which are going to be given out to the first 100 families that attend that event. So those soccer balls came through us and are going to be given out to families a little bit after the World Cup. There were some shipping delays, but we're really, really excited to partner with the district on that event. And please encourage, if you know folks that are soccer fans and families that are in school, I believe it's open to all. And they can get resources and info as they head back to school. So with that, we will take our recess. We will be back on September, oh gosh, I don't remember off the top of my head. We will be back on September 8th, and I will adjourn us at 11:06.